Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show. The show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 82 of the Arcade Repair Tips video series for December 2023. What about that, Tim?
It's crazy, isn't it?
You never think that you're going to get to the end of the year until you're there, I feel like. So, but anyway, guys, we're so glad that you're joining us tonight. Of course, my name is Jonathan Leung. I'm the producer, director, and editor here at the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson. Tim, how are you?
Good. Looks like you got a new Christmas shirt.
I think I've had this one.
This one was the same one I wore last year. I didn't venture out and get a new one, but you got to get at least 2 years out of it, right?
Right, exactly. No, I think you're fine wearing it again. I don't think anybody's going to call you out on it.
Okay.
So, but Tim, I'm so glad that you're back. Because we had to delay this. This is the second Thursday of the month instead of the first. And the last two were my fault for the delay. But this one was actually on Tim, as you are a world traveler, right?
Yes. Normally, we could even do it live or live, but remotely. But it would have been about 4 o'clock in the morning where I was at. So, successful vacation trip to Germany was really fun. We had a good time.
I got to see some of the pictures on your personal Facebook page, and I thought it was really neat. I saw some snow in some of those. So I guess you got some snow while you were there?
Yeah, where they're at in Germany is a lot like here. They don't get a lot of snow. So even snow for them is kind of a big deal. And it was kind of like a movie. You know, it didn't even look real. There was like the carolers singing and stuff, and the outdoor Christmas markets, and this huge flakes of snow were just coming down. Everybody was like, oh, it's snow, it's snow. And we're having a good time. So the first 2 days it snowed. Then that changed to rain. And it was kind of cold and rainy. But nonetheless, we still had a wonderful, very good time. It was our second trip. I didn't see any arcade. I saw one place that said arcade, but it really wasn't an arcade. Or even in a mall, I couldn't find one. Everything, of course, was in German. But we did find a castle and got to tour a castle this time. And, of course, as always, ate and drank way too much. So,
well, I mean, when you go on vacation, I was about to say, that's part of your vacation for sure. Well, we are glad that you're back from Germany, and we're glad for everybody else who's joining us tonight as well. So, Tim, I'm going to go over to the live chat real quick and just say hello to all these fine people. Jumping General is here. He says, hey, everyone, Merry Christmas. We got the Real Hammer Billy Lee says, Merry Christmas. We have Arcade Survival from Indiana, Tim.
Okay.
Says Merry Christmas. Angelina says drinking lots of wine this Xmas. Well, I mean, sometimes that's what it takes to get through, right? Delusionals Arcade is here. He says hello. Let's see. We got Matthew here. Says here from Australia, Tim.
Okay.
So awesome. Michael Bloom is here. Says Merry Christmas. Nate Berg is here. Happy holidays. And Michael says this is the first time he's been able to catch the live show in a long time. So we are so glad you're here.
That's funny you said that, Michael. I was looking at your name, and I was like, I don't remember seeing Michael in the live chat in a while. So welcome back, and we hope that we make it a good show tonight so that you'll enjoy it, and hope that you get to catch many more next year.
Absolutely. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays for all you guys out there who are either watching this live or after the fact. So this is kind of the Christmas show, and Tim, as we usually do on our Christmas show, we exchange gifts. And so we will be doing that later on in the episode, usually between the discussion and the arcade questions part of the show. We'll be doing that. We also have some stories. Tim, Spooky Pinball just announced 2 upcoming releases, so we'll be talking about those tonight. We'll be talking about Chuck E. Cheese and how they've been doing away with animatronics, which makes Tim sad, I know, because he worked on Chuck E. for a long time. And then I'm going to talk about a GameStop experience I had recently and just ask you if I did the right thing.
Okay.
So, and we will get to that at the end of the show. But Tim, we did have one question here in the live chat from Jumping General. He says, how about in 2024, Arcade Repair Tips opens up their own arcade? What do you think about that, Tim?
I prefer to keep my money for next year or invest it a little wiser place. I will say that there was a time when that was so much fun and we enjoyed it and everything, but boy, the amount of work that it takes, by all means, support your local barcades and arcades and those type of things. I think we'll just support some of them next year.
Absolutely, yeah. Sorry, guys. Kind of been there, done that at this point, and I don't know if we'll ever get back into it. Like Tim says, we like keeping our money. But there are people who have made it work, Tim. I think about all of the great barcades and arcades that are around the here in the United States and in other places as well. Those guys have been able to make it work. More power to them. And if you have one close to you, support them so that they can continue to operate. Because, guys, it is no small feat keeping an arcade up and running, right, Tim?
No, it's very time consuming and expensive. Parts and stuff are just not getting any cheaper and harder to find. So by all means, and if you think about it, think about your local barcade. And think about if they have a newer style pinball game. And people say, oh man, it's $1 play. Do you know how many plays you would have to play for you to buy that game?
Right.
So you could play it every week several times and save money.
Yep.
But yet you're helping them. And so I just always look at it like that. It's pinball games and some video games have gotten so expensive. It's really easier for me just to spend $30, $40 a week and support them.
Absolutely. So, but you never know. I mean, I'm never going to say never, Tim. But,
never say never, that's for sure.
Probability is low. How about that?
Elon Musk calls and says, he wants a all battery powered one and is willing to really fork over some big bucks. We might try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything has a price, and that price is pretty expensive.
That's right. So there we go. So we do want to remind you guys that you can interact with us during the show in the live chat room, just like we called out all of those fine people who are here tonight. So if you want to leave any comments or questions there, we would love for you to do that, and we'll try to get to those as we go through the show. Michael says that some of the new pinball machines can be $10,000, and we'll look at that later with the spooky machines. We'll actually talk about pricing on those. So, I mean, he's exactly right. Pinballs have gone insane. And we will be talking about that later in the show. But Tim, let us go ahead and move on with the questions for this month.
Sure.
So the first question we have is from Chris. Now, Tim, I will say that I feel like we got a lot of first-time senders of questions in, which is really great. So if you're watching this and you've never sent a question to us and you send it in and we're answering it tonight, we're glad you're here and we're glad you're checking it out. So our first question is from Chris. So I'll go ahead and put his up here. He says, hello, I have a 1942 game by Capcom that's not working. When turned on, it shows 2 images of the game flipping back and forth at about 1 frame per second. I found a popped fuse on the power supply. After replacing it, I now have no video at all. I checked the power supply and it only had 2 to 3 volts across all buses. I got a computer power supply, matched up the voltages, and still no video. I can't seem to find what to look for next. Now, Tim, there's a little bit of information here. You will see this picture here of the inside of his cabinet.
Okay, that's the actual one?
He did send more pictures, but this was really the only picture I felt like was the most important. But I can tell you it is a Super Pac-Man cabinet.
Okay.
And a Super Pac-Man power supply, which is why I took this photo out of all of them. So we have a 1942 game that is a conversion from a Super Pac-Man cabinet. So Tim, with that in mind, what do you think is going on with Chris's 1942 game? What does he need to do in order to get it up and running? Well,
this is not uncommon in fact, you hardly ever see, I don't know if there is a dedicated one. They're always usually in a conversion in 1942.
Yes.
And we love the game. It's very fun to play. So what they did was when they converted it, they used the original power supply, or they tried to hook up into it. At this point, he's either going to have to, but that's not enough voltage.
Right.
Right. So just 2 to 3 volts, I think he said, that's not enough to power.
Correct.
What he needs to power for that. So he's got a couple of choices. He could rebuild his current power supply, which is a good power supply. In fact, most people, a lot of people would say, maybe not most, but a lot of people would say, that is a great power supply. You should rebuild it. It'll probably last longer if it lasted 20, 30 years. That's a long time for one to last anyway. That you might want to rebuild it. And there are kits available that they can buy and just rebuild it. Nothing else. It's kind of fun to try. It's not real hard. You don't have to be a super soldering technician guru or anything to do that. And I will almost say it's worth the first shot. Then if it doesn't work, then we're going to go to option number 2. Or some of you would say the better option right off the bat would be to replace it with a brand new switching power supply. But you're not getting enough voltage. If you're not getting enough voltage, you're not going to get a picture and things that you need. But good job on at least trying to check some of those things and replacing that fuse. Probably the short or something in your power supply is what caused the fuse to blow in the first place. Jonathan, we always used to get excited. When we were kind of new, if we found a game that had a blown fuse, we thought, well, we just replace the fuse and everything would be great, right? And occasionally that works.
Yep.
But not very often. Most of the time, there's a reason that fuse blew, and so it probably is some bad and some failing components in that power supply.
And that's especially true, Tim, when you have like this linear style power supplies like this one, is that you are going to have more of that where if a fuse blows, it's probably something in the power supply more than it was like maybe a power surge that it got. And
Probably so.
In this particular case, though, we do think it's a power supply issue. It does sound like that. So let's go ahead and talk about the same things, kind of cover what you just said, Tim, about the issue here. And so from the pictures, it does look like your cabinet was originally a Super Pac-Man that has a 1942 board installed. The cabinet seems to be powered by the original power supply, like Tim mentioned, and that's the one that came installed in the cabinet. At this point, you have some options. You could try rebuilding the power supply. Arcade Parts and Repair has a rebuild kit available, and Tim, I've got a link here, and the link is also down in the show description that he can go to if he wants to order one of those. There's a couple of variations on that kit.
Okay.
Some that have, like just the cap, some that have some of the resistors, transistors as well, and kind of stuff like that. So, just depending on what the problem may be, it may be good to order like the big kit, like the mega kit, or it may be good just to order like the little minimal kit. So it just kind of depends on, what you want to do, how much work you think it is. If you inspect the parts and most of the parts look good, then the minimal kit may be fine. But if it's kind of looking burnt all over the place, or you have a lot of bad parts on there, then you may want to order the mega kit, right? Kind of thing. So just when you go to that link, you're going to see a lot of options. And so just kind of decide based on what you have now. Now, like Tim mentioned, you could also just install a new switching power supply. Okay, so you have a couple options here. You could just rewire the cabinet. Okay, and run basically the wires from your harness directly to the switching power supply voltage. You could do that. Or you could get the conversion kit, because this is a Super Pac-Man cabinet. You could get the conversion kit from Mike's Arcade or Arcade Shop that has the little board where you just plug the connector in that comes right now from the Super Pac-Man board. Basically, our Super Pac-Man power supply, you just undo that connector there and plug it into this board, which connects to the switching power supply. So those would be your options. Tim, out of all these options, if you were to pick one, which way would you go? Maybe that's a great way to phrase that. If you were going to go with a rebuild, I'm going to rebuild the original. Well, I'm going to rewire it with the switcher, or I'm just going to use the conversion kit switcher.
But and you stressed a good point that I really didn't emphasize. The fact that if you go with a new switcher, you're also going to have to rewire.
Right.
That's not a problem. I mean, in fact, we like to do it. It's kind of fun. But if you're kind of new and everything, if I was to start, I would start with rebuilding the current power supply.
Okay.
That way you don't have to rewire everything, and it's not so challenging, and it's a good way to learn how to repair stuff. I would think that would probably be my go-to. But if it kind of depends. If it was if I'm noticing that the transformer and some other things could be bad, you don't want to really get into all that. Then I would probably consider just switching it out.
Yeah. We should say we've used the switching power supply with the conversion board plug before. We've used that. I mean, we've used that before. That setup from Arcade Shop or Mike's Arcade, and those are handy. But you have to make sure that your wiring in your cabinet is pretty solid to do that. If your wiring is even a little bit suspect, and considering that this used to be a Super Pac-Man, you may have some suspect wiring, it's probably better to go the rewire route.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the conversion kit, as long as your wiring is solid, is not bad. And so there's a little board on a standard switching power supply, there's a little board that basically attaches to the switching power supply and gives you a connector that you plug into. And so all you do is take the connector, like we said, out of the Super Pac-Man power supply now and plug it into that connector, which is attached to the new switching power supply. So, I mean, you could go that route, but again, you need to make sure your wiring's solid if you're going to go that route, too. The rebuild is a good way to go. I mean, like I said, any of these are good. I think I kind of probably lean on Tim just because of the rebuild. That's a really good power supply in there, and the rebuild would not be hard for you to do.
Right. That's why I said it kind of depends on your skill level and how much time you want to spend. I think that putting maybe the long-term solution, if you want to say that, may be to put a newer style switching power supply and rewire it, because the wires are already old and getting brittle, and they could cause you issues down the road. But at the same time, the quicker fix to me would be just to rebuild what's already there.
There you go. Now, I've also got a link down below to Mike's Arcade and Arcade Shop for the new switching power supply with the conversion kit plug board. And included in that package. So there's links down there to that too, Chris, if you want to go that route as well. So, but choice is yours. If you want to go with the rebuild, standard switching supply plus rewire, or a standard switching power supply with the little conversion board. Really just depends on which way you want to go. So let us know what you decide to do and how your 1942 does once it's getting good power. Now, we may get good power and you may still have issues. If that's the case, let us know.
Could be.
Absolutely. So. Okay, Tim, I'm going to go over to the live chat real quick before we move on to the next question here. And let's see. Michael Bloom says, I don't think people realize how expensive new pinball machines are. I think you're right. It's true. I mean, when I was thinking about this the other day, when we met Jack Guarneri of Jersey Jack Pinball, he was trying to sell a Wizard of Oz pinball for $4,000 and people thought he was nuts.
Right.
You remember that?
That was expensive. Yeah.
That was expensive. Like, people gasped at that price. And now we've got pinball machines that basically start at $9,000.
Right.
So, just goes to show you how the market has changed. Let's see. Angelina says, Dragon's Lair started the first 50-cent price raise. Yeah, 50 cents started with Dragon's Lair. A lot of people don't realize that. I mean, it looked like a freaking cartoon. Looked so awesome. I mean, everybody wanted to play it, and so they upped the price. And it was an expensive cabinet back in the day. If you bought one new, they were very, very expensive. You got to remember, laser discs weren't cheap, and then you had think about all the animators that had to work on that, all of the art assets in that. I mean, it's amazing. So
yeah, I was thinking we had to buy a laser disc one time when I was working at arcade. I think it was about $1,500 at the time.
Yeah.
Something like that. Somebody else might remember, but it was an expensive part.
Yeah, for sure. Extra Lives Arcade says, love your videos. I have a pole position with a temperamental edge connector. Have to wiggle it pretty often. Are there new harnesses available? Yes, you should be able to get a harness for it. On those, you can kind of install an additional kind of edge connector where you can connect the pins basically from, you just take like a straight through board, a straight through edge connector board, and you could solder basically those together and then give you like a new set of pins on top. That's one way to do it. Or if it's just a harness thing that you're having issues with, you should be able to just get a new harness for it. And you can check like Arcade Parts and Repair and some of the other retailers that we recommend for that, because they will have those in stock typically. Tim, anything on a pole position?
I haven't worked on one in quite a while, and one thing I see is a lot of people love pole position. It seems like there's so many chat groups and things about it, even Facebook pages, that maybe some of those guys have already done that.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
Sure.
Maybe if somebody knows, you can post a link in the group, in the chat.
Delusionals Arcade, I think Super Pack, you need to bypass the credit protection. Super Pack had a circuit that protects it from stringing quarters. Yeah, as we all know, there's a way that you can, kind of reuse quarters if you're not careful. And so there is I think he is right, there is a circuit protection on there for that. So make sure you bypass that when you're working on it. Angelina, barn sale rush. Are you selling stuff? No, not selling stuff. But one of the questions has to do with a barn sale rush 2049, and we'll get to that here in a second. Jumping General, I have a new JAMA harness and a new switcher. Do I need to increase the voltage on my power supply before I plug in the Ultra Beast board with its Sega adapter? Not a bad idea. What you'd probably want to do is measure the voltage after the adapter before you plug in the board to see what it is. And if it's low, you may try turning it up a bit. We like to run things about 5.05 on the 5 volts line anyway, just a little bit higher, just because a lot of game boards are very power hungry. But now that you're introducing a JAMA switcher into that, you're definitely going to have more power draw. So you may even go up to like a 5.1 or so to make sure it's getting good voltage.
But like Johnson said, before you ever plug in the board, test it then.
Right.
Already running, and you'll test your wire, see what you're running there. If you're running exactly 5 or just a little higher, that'll be fine.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see. Delusional's best bet long term is to wire it up for JAMA. And I think he's talking about with the 1942.
Yeah.
Get the Big Kit, which has the FPGA, Super Pac-Man, and more. Yes, you can. Big Kit's really cool thing. So, that's definitely a way to go. It just depends on if you want to keep it in 1942 or not. Some people like to take them back to what they originally were. Some people like to keep them what they are. It's totally up to you. So, Robbie J, I believe Black Knight 2000 was the first 50-cent pinball machine. Not sure about that, Tim. Would you know offhand?
Pinball machine?
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't know offhand if that is the case.
I think that because they just about every 80s one had the option of 50 cents. So probably about that at least that time period for sure.
Nate says he was pretty sure Black Hole was the first 50 cent one, and then Getaway after that.
got probably some more pinball history knowledge than I have.
Right, we're probably better with arcade games than we are pinball knowledge on that, but we do know Dragon's Lair was the first 50-cent one kind of across the board, but as far as pinball machines go, not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if his Black Hole, I wouldn't be surprised if his Black Knight, because both of those were pretty popular machines.
Like I said, I think there was probably a string of pinball games that kind of come out around that era that were a little bit more expensive to play, or at least had the option.
Absolutely. So, okay, Tim, I think we're caught up with the live chat. So I am going to go ahead and let's go to the next question we have here from Joe, it looks like. So here we go. I inherited a Pandora's box tabletop from my late brother. It's been used at our Airbnb for the last 5 years. The controllers and joysticks stopped working. There was a black cable coming from the left joystick box to one of the right buttons that was pulled out. So I stripped the wire back and put it inside. And Tim, you can kind of, I don't know if you can see in that picture. I know it's kind of tiny there, but you can see where he did that. So he put it back inside of where he thought it was supposed to go. No luck with that. Any other ideas? Thanks so much, Joe. So Tim, Pandora's box tabletop and just none of the joysticks or controllers are working.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think is going on with Joe's Pandora's box tabletop here? Why are none of my joysticks or buttons working on this?
Well, he was really good about the thought of connecting that black wire back. I think he was on the right track. The problem is if you just strip it and stick it in there, a lot of times it still won't make a good connection.
Sure.
Now, you could bypass that connector altogether and see where it connects on the other side and just run a black wire, strip both ends, and run one in between. You don't have to have a connector there. Or you could find out what kind of pins that are in there and actually repin it and make a better connection. I think just sticking it up in there is probably not. Now, the way he would know would be to take a multimeter and do his test and see if you got it from that wire to the board, then through the connection through to the board, and then actually to the joysticks and the buttons and stuff to the board. So if you're not, there will be a break in that chain somewhere, and that's the best tool. One of the things that's probably...
In fact, it's Christmas. Let's just go ahead. So here's a multimeter. This is a Craftsman. This is just kind of a cheapy guy, but it does have the continuity test. So I have to put it in beep mode. So when Tim touches the probes together,
right here,
he'll hear the beep. And so here's a wire. Okay, so if we wanted to make sure that this wire had continuity, Tim's gonna do this.
Put one in and to the other end. Oops.
Yeah, make sure you hold them.
Yeah, I gotta.
There you go. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to make sure that you're getting that beep continuity all the way back to your power supply ground, right, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah, so making sure that we've got it all the way back to there. So that black wire that connects, that daisy chains all the way around your controls is the ground wire. And so that should go back to your power supply or to the harness. To the harness, really. Both, kind of. But may go back to your harness. So you want to make sure that you're making a good connection to the ground pin on your harness, that we're basically getting it all there, and that every single point on the chain is getting continuity, because if there's a break anywhere, then anything past that point is not going to work, right?
Correct.
So that's what we're checking there. And Tim, do you really think that may be the problem here for the most part?
I really do, because the fact that the wire was stuck out, and he saw it broken wire. I mean, that was, when you see, where there's smoke, there's fire, and so to see that, I think, and he tried to stick it back in there, but I don't know. That's where I would lean. Now, of course, he needs to get his schematics out and test it with his meter. He could have stuck it back in there. It may be just a fine connection. Then we got to go backwards and make sure all the wires are good. If ground is all the way good back to the board, then he may have a board issue, because that loose wire sometimes can touch something that shouldn't touch or whatever, and sometimes can cause a board issue also.
Right.
But more than likely, I'm going to almost bet, because it sounds like it was working and all that stuff. And then, people are rough. He said it was the Airbnb. You can imagine the people that played it, and they were probably pretty rough with it and stuff. And maybe it wasn't super good connection in the beginning.
Right.
But like I said, you can totally bypass that. We've done that plenty of times, especially in a bind. You could just get some wire nuts, cut the wire on the other end, and just wire them together. Have a middle wire like this, attached to one side, attach the other side to the other side, and just see if it works.
Yep.
We've done that plenty of times just to kind of troubleshoot. okay, we know it's this wire. Then I would say, though, we do like to, the best we can, or we could get a different set of Molex pins. We've redone, they may have that Sega style. That one kind of looks like one of those. They have the little bitty pins, and I just don't like them very much. I've cut every wire on there before and made sure the colors matched or wrote how it was. And I've repinned every wire just to make a good connection sometimes. And it really doesn't, I can do it in 15 minutes probably.
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
So, and you got to be careful. I think we've talked about this before, Tim. Not all JAMA harnesses are created equal.
No.
And so, like a lot of JAMA harnesses we've actually had the pins separate from the harness connector. Like
Many
it wasn't
times.
soldered well enough. Or we've had the actual connectors come off the wires because they didn't clamp them on good enough. And so, there's a reason why we recommend the Holland Computers one, Tim, is because we know that it's made with quality. We've used it like in 1 million builds now, and like that one, it's ready to go. It handles pretty much anything we can throw at it. But like if you buy a Pandora's box from like AliExpress or one of these other like Chinese retailers, and it comes with a cheap Chinese harness, sometimes those harnesses are not going to be the best harnesses. And so it could, like you said, it may just be that the ground pins on the little edge connector for the board are not making a good connection.
Right.
But
it could be broken anywhere. It could be broken towards the power supply. It could be where it plugs into the very first part of that daisy chain. And we've seen that plenty of times. That first pin, where it's actually twisted and it's not connected good there, that'll cause issues.
Yeah, and so if you want to know more about using the continuity mode on your multimeter, we have a nice post on checking fuses with the multimeter that basically goes into continuity, and I would recommend checking that out because that'll give you a little bit more information on how that all works. But other than that, I think really we just need to make sure that we're making a good connection to that ground daisy chain from either your board or your power supply, depending on where that's originating from. So, anything else, Tim?
Well, and I just want to say condolences, Joe. You did mention that it was your late brother's game. So we hope we can help you get that back and going. I'm sure it's a good memory of him and stuff. So anyway, our sincere condolences that you lost your brother.
Absolutely.
I don't want to not mention that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're sending our thoughts and prayers for you and your family because that's tough. So, Tim, I don't know about you, but I feel like just, recently it seems like every time this time of year we lose some people that I know, or at least like even it may not be like real close, but acquaintances. Like there's several acquaintances over the last like 3 or 4 weeks that have passed on, and it sucks.
Yeah, I can think of several friends. It's like it's always a happy time, but then it's for some people it's like I always hate when I hear like somebody's dad or their grandparent died right before Christmas because then it's like, man, now you think about that every Christmas. So whatever you're going through, we don't mention it enough that we do really care and that we are here even if it's not an arcade question, right?
That's right.
And so thank you for listening, though. But I also think how cool is it that I had a sister that passed away when she was 52, younger than I am. It's been almost 10 years ago. But she didn't leave me a video game, so but what a cool legacy or remembrance of your brother and stuff. So we want to help you get that fixed. By all means, I hope some of the suggestions that we said could help. But if you need more help, please write us back and let us help you a little further and watch some of those videos that Jonathan mentioned. I think it really will help with that issue.
Absolutely. So, Joe, hopefully answers your question. Good luck getting that working. And again, condolences on the loss of your brother for sure. So, and Tim, I tell you what, we were doing Christmas cards. So I sent out my Christmas cards, and there were a couple names on there that are no longer with us from last year. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's a bummer. And we had a very nice man at our church just recently died of a heart attack. And, it's like, you just never know. You know what I'm saying? It just happens.
As old as I'm getting, Jonathan, you ever had those... I seriously do this. I'm like, it'll be somebody's birthday on Facebook, and it might be somebody that I don't really talk about to, and so maybe I haven't seen them since junior high, but we're still friends and we keep up through Facebook. I'll be like, I better go make sure they're still around, because I've done that before. Happy birthday, and somebody said, oh, Melody died 2 years ago. I was like, what? I didn't even know. So anyway, I don't know where we're off on that, but
well, because of Joe. That's why I was about to say we're off on.
Anyway, Joe, we want you to know that we really do sincere. We get it, man. It's tough especially when you lose somebody. But it sounds like you must have had a really cool brother.
And just one more thing is that I thought about the other day is, guys, we miss Louie a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
and
sure.
Louie was a big part of Arcade Repair Tips here. If you guys probably don't know that if you're watching tonight for the first time, but Louie kind of helped us get the live show up and running. Without Louie, we wouldn't have a live show. He was a big part of the team here at Arcade Repair Tips for basically the whole time the live show's been in existence up until the time he passed away, which is 2 years ago now. Golly,
Sounds like it.
Yeah, but Louie was a great friend and a good guy, and we miss him all the time. And so, just without him, there'd be no live show. So thank you, Louie, up there. Wherever you are, we're
he's in the arcade where the games never break right now.
I think that's a good way to say it.
That's where we all want to go, right?
Absolutely.
All the games are working.
With that in mind, let me go over to the live channel. Let's do some catching up here real quick. Let's see. Arcade Survival. Where can I find a Fix-It Felix PC? So they did make a PC game, and a lot of people who build the Fix-It Felix cabinets do use that PC game for their builds. I'm not sure where to find that, but I'm sure there's enough research on the internet there that you can. I've seen it in some of the builds, Tim.
Right. So it's not a real board. It's a game that they taken and
they hook up a computer and then they emulate it on a computer board typically. I don't think there's an actual PCB that runs it.
That's what.
So yeah, I think it was all like everything is basically just a PC emulation of the game, and so which was released by Disney. And some people have cloned it and made like basically the exact same game, but they've reprogrammed it to run on minimal hardware and stuff. And so if you do enough searches, you'll probably find it. But I don't know exactly off the top of my head where you can find that, so sorry about that. Let's see, Jumping General. The JAMA setup is in my Double Dragon cabinet. It will run Double Dragon fine, but it will not fully power up the Altered Beast board. Yeah, it's possible. So Sega games as a whole are pretty power hungry, so it is possible that it's not getting enough juice whenever you're switching the boards in between them. And so you may need to turn up that power supply, but it's also possible you have a problem with your Altered Beast board.
Right.
So I mean, I think that's the same system as like Moonwalker, and so that may have a suicide battery on it. And so if it works without the switcher, then it's definitely a problem with the switcher, right? But if it works, if it doesn't work without the switcher, then you probably have a board problem. So plug it in before you plug in the switcher and see if the board by itself works. If it does, then there may be some compatibility with the switcher as well. Some of those switchers and the way the pins are wired are a little different depending on the game. We talk about this a lot, Tim. Even though JAMA is a standard, it's not completely standard. So some boards have kind of different pins and things like that they use for different things. Or an
extra ground or something like that.
Right, exactly. So make sure that you might want to make sure just that the standard that Altered Beast is using is the same standard that your switcher is using, vice versa. So let's see. YouTube Punk is here, Tim.
Hello.
Says howdy, gang. Arcade Survival says, I've had pins break inside the edge connectors, so check it to the board. Absolutely. We have had pins break inside the edge connectors too.
Many times.
And you can repin them, okay, but you have to know it's broken in order to do that. So let's see. NTR President, evening gents. Anyone have Link's podcast on repairing newer current day video and redemption games? So Tim has done a lot of that. In fact, that the last part of most of your experience when you were working at Mr. Gaddy's was pretty much all that, correct?
Yeah, and I would say that there's really not a good source like most of your manufacturers are now shooting some type of video, or the manuals themselves are pretty detailed. But I don't really know of a dedicated channel or something like that, unless I'm wrong, to that. But by all means, if you have a question, we do have quite a bit of experience in that area, and we can try to help you. But I always had a lot of luck calling ICE or Coastal Amusements or even Sega or anybody. Most of them, they want you to buy parts from them. They usually want to try Baytech, Betson. A lot of those people will help you troubleshoot pretty good. So I never really had much trouble with that.
Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I think we're all caught up. And Angelina says a new harness available for Pandora is like $15.99. Yeah, again, try to go with something quality. The reason we like calling computers, because like I said, we know Bill, and we know that the harness itself is very solid. Right. But we've used some cheap Chinese ones before that were awful.
Yeah,
awful.
You do kind of get what you pay for. Plus, they're labeled, and it makes it so much easier.
Right, and like the color coding. We've had ones where the color coding was not standard. Right. Okay, so like your 5 volts is like brown or something like that, and you're like, what the heck? And it's not that that's a bad thing. You can still wire it up and everything. It's just that it's really nice when you use standard wire colors. Big time. So again, just highly recommend the JAMA harness from from HollandComputers.com. And we have a whole video about it, why we recommend it. You guys need to check that out if you haven't already.
Excuse me.
Okay, Tim. Well, this next question is where the title for the show comes from tonight. So, barn sale rush with rusty stuff.
Okay.
So, let's get to Alex's question real quick so we can talk about it. So, Alex says, "Hi, I have been in the U.S. Army for 19 years now, and this is my last year. Congratulations, right off the bat. A couple years ago, I bought 2 San Francisco Rush 2049 cabinets from a barn sale in California, Tim. Barn sale. I spent some time on them and was able to get both of the cabinets working. I replaced a bunch of parts, cleaned them up, and fixed the solder on some rusty stuff. Rusty stuff. There you go, Tim. The problem is one of the cabinet monitors does not work or does not come on at all, right? It just keeps clicking and does not turn on. I don't know what to do. When I leave the Army, I would like to get them working so I can play with my sons. Is there any advice you can give me? Maybe a good site where I can buy a replacement monitor. Thanks for the help. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just
okay.
a little choked, but let's roll.
Okay, well, I was about to say, I know we got a little emotional there in the last segment. I hope we didn't catch you off guard.
I think I just got to swallow something wrong.
Okay, so we have Alex here, Tim, and he's got 2 Rush 2049s that he actually got in a barn sale. Right? Okay, so we got them in a barn sale. And he's saying that he got them both working, but now one of the monitors is just clicking. Okay, so that's kind of a dead giveaway.
Yes.
That's a real indicator there, the clicking, that there's something going on. Tim, what do you think's going on with the cabinet that is where the monitor is clicking here on Alex's San Francisco Rush 2049 cabinets?
Well, if I can talk here, Jonathan, most of the time when we hear that clicking noise, it's the high voltage line. That click is a sound. It's kind of like a warning. Think of it in a modern monitor. You might have a beep or a light or something. Normally, like if your computer or your laptop, you turn it on, it beeps at you.
Right.
Then you know something is wrong. And sometimes those clicks, they're letting them know that something's wrong. Usually, it needs a cap kit or something like that. You can rebuild those monitors. I would highly recommend that he tries to rebuild it, or if nothing else, send it off for repair before he tries to buy a new one, as they have got quite pricey these days.
Absolutely.
But you can get a new monitor, and there's several places that sell them, and you can even go with an LCD replacement now. But we're always going to recommend that you replace what you got. So if your game is actually... What we should ask the question is what we talk about a lot, is the game playing blind? In other words, do you still hear the game and you just get no picture? That's normally common when the monitor goes out, but the game is still working, so all you have to do is repair the monitor. Now, if you're not hearing any gameplay, the game won't coin up, the game makes no sound, there's no other lights, then you may not have a monitor issue at all. You may just have something else. Another thing that you could do is you could switch and hook up the other monitor to the other cabinet, kind of butt them back to back or side by side, and you could see if the monitor on that, then you would know that it's the monitor. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
But anyway, but it's probably something wrong with your high voltage. It's clicking like that. It's not getting the correct power. You got a hot going bad. You got a flyback that could be ticking. If it's a Neotech monitor, I can tell you for a fact, there's always a cap right in the very middle of that chassis that likes to tick like that. And that thing will make you think it's a bomb fixing to go off, and maybe it is. So be careful with it. Don't let it tick forever. But you definitely need to repair or replace that chassis. And I would go that route. If you've been in the military for 19 years, thank you for your service, by the way. You're probably not super rich because we don't pay the military guys anywhere near what we should, just like teachers. But if you want to be conservative with your money, and you probably have learned some skills in the military, so you probably soldering and stuff would not be a big challenge to you. So why not try to repair it? And I think that would be the best route.
Absolutely. So, Tim, I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here real quick so we can talk about it. So, it does sound like you're having HV, or high voltage shutdown, on your monitor chassis, just like Tim said. HV shutdown is usually caused by an issue with components on the high voltage line. Could be a bad flyback, bad horizontal output transistor, bad capacitor, broken solder joint, bad voltage regulator. We can go on and on and on. Something on that power supply line, though. You might start off this repair by removing the chassis, touching up the solder on all the parts on the HV line, and checking the components listed. We would also also recommend installing the cap kit while you have the chassis out if it's been a while since the last recap. So anytime we remove a chassis, if we have not done a cap kit to it within like the last 10 years, 5 years,
right,
we're probably just going to do the cap kit because we
Might
already
as well.
have the chassis out and it's a pain to put it in and out and not do something to it. So we would definitely recommend the cap kit while you have the chassis out. So make sure you order the cap kit that comes with the filter caps, right, Tim?
Yes.
Very important when we're dealing with high voltage issues that we get those filter caps because those can be the ones that are bad. And you can go the LCD replacement route if you wish, like Tim mentioned. In driving cabinets, Tim, this seems to be a very popular way for people to replace the monitors just with that. But again, if you're looking for the most cost-effective way, like Tim mentioned, a repair would probably be better. So, Tim, any other advice here for Alex before we move on?
Yeah, like I said, it could be a flyback. They do tend to tick and make noise like that too, like cracks and stuff in them. So be real careful around it. I wouldn't run it too long like that. Don't just let it keep going. I would probably, as long as the game is playing, you hear it, you know you got a monitor issue, I would work on replacing or repairing that chassis.
Yeah. The fact that it was working recent, if it was working recently, it could just be a cold solder joint, but I would go ahead and recap it while I have it out. You know, I mean, because you're pulling the chassis out, you might as well do something to it. Go ahead and recap it while you got it out, do the repair, try it again. If it's still having issues at that point, we can go further down the line. We can check voltage regulators hot, flyback, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, but if it was recently working, it may just be a cold solder joint.
Normally when I hear that ticking, though, it's automatically makes me think flyback or a cap.
Absolutely. And, Delusional said the same thing. So Nate says, I normally don't suggest LCD replacement on games. However, these racers do look fine, and even better sometimes. I'm not exactly sure if it's the PCB, if the PCB has a VGA port, but an LCD is fine for this. And that's pretty much the popular opinion when it comes to racing games, is that LCDs are okay enough. But man, I'm still going to try the repair if it's me. So I'm going to try to keep it original. Let's see. Delusional says, look for cracks in the flyback. Voltage regulator may be bad. So there you go. Let's see. Also, the light bulb test. Absolutely. The light bulb test. And he says Mike's amateur monitor repair, but I believe our friend, Paul, our friend Paul also has a video on that.
Okay, good.
So, at paulsmonitors.com. So, yeah, both of those, they will show you how to do the light bulb test, which is very handy when checking the high voltage line on a monitor.
Very
so,
good.
make sure you do that. And let's see. I think that's all the comments on this. Extra Lives Arcade. Any ideas on where to get a modern Buck Hunter Safari PC? I guess a working one. So is there anywhere you could get like I guess a big Buck Hunter replacement? You can contact that's what's the name of the company? Is it Sega? Is it Sega?
Yeah, I think it's Sega now.
Okay, I can't remember because it's changed a lot since.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean, because one's Incredible Technologies, right? Like one of the Buck Hunter games is, and the other one is. You can contact the company that makes it. So if that is the Sega Sammy,
realistically, your best bet's probably go to eBay and find one that's
you can see if somebody's got one there. You can check various arcade forums like the KLOV, the Arcade Museum forums over there. That's a good one to go to, and just ask around. But if you contact the company, they'll usually do an advanced replacement, right, Tim? They will ship you a replacement, and you will send yours back, and they will charge you like $1,000.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it's 1,000, but they're going to charge you something for that. So you can try to contact the actual company if you want to, who makes it. Like I said, there's different versions of Buck Hunter. There's one that was made by Sega/Sammy, and there's another one made by Incredible Technologies. And so I'm not exactly sure. It depends on which one you have, but if you contact whichever company it is directly, they may be able to help you out.
Sure.
So let's see what else we got here. Let's see.
Raw Thrills makes
Raw Thrills, that's it. Raw Thrills, yes. So Buck Hunter's Raw Thrills. Thank you. So you see Tim, I can't remember these things. So Raw Thrills, that's true. So yeah, you can contact Raw Thrills and they can help you out. Betts
Imperial.
Betts and Imperial. So there you go. But there is a Sega Sammy like Buck Hunter one. I forget what that one's called, but that's got a different name, right?
Yeah, so, Extreme Hunting. or something like that.
Exactly. They've made a lot of them now. So anyway, okay, I think we're all caught up. Are we caught up?
I think so.
Okay, there you go. Bobby says I'd buy the $14 part for the LCD while you have the monitor repaired. If you wanted to put the LCD in temporarily while you have the monitor repaired, you could do that too. You can buy the low conversion board. If it doesn't have the VGA output already, you can buy the Gamba's 8200 conversion board thing, and hook up an LCD in there while we're waiting on the CRT to get repaired. If you want to be able to run it, if it's for your house, I know that's not as much of a concern. But if you got it on location, Tim, that's a big deal.
Big deal. Yeah.
Exactly. Keep the stuff running. So. Okay, Tim, I think we're all caught up now. Let us go to our next question from Andre. And Andre says, I have a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that had no issues until I did some cleaning in the interior of the cabinet. When I start up now, it boots up to a copyright screen, then blacks out. Do you know any reason why this would happen? I am a beginner in my knowledge of arcade cabinets. I checked the Naomi and ran the self-test and got good status. Also, is it safe to leave the cabinet open so I can adjust the monitor? I noticed the CRT has a rubbered anode cap on it.
Oh,
so, Tim, we have Andre here. He is new at this, has not done it long, but he's done some things that he should have done, like a self-test. And so, overall, though, he says it was working fine until he tried to clean it, and now he's getting, like, it'll bounce up to the copyright screen and then just black. And so, what do you think's going on with Andre's Marvel vs. Capcom 2 here?
Well, quit cleaning your games. They'll work better dirty, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
No, I feel your frustration because it's like but a lot of times when you're cleaning, you can easily just bump something. Something could come unplugged. So don't fret. It's probably not a huge deal, especially if you're going, and I like what he did. He went into the test and he saw that the test came back good.
Right.
Which is a good way to start. But you could easily bump your power supply or something, and just barely touching that thing can actually cut the voltage down. That's where I would start. So we're always going to start at power.
Right.
We call it the ASAP approach. Always start at power. So I would check your voltage, make sure you're getting good voltage from the power supply to your main board. Check all those connectors. Like I said, it's really easy when you're in there cleaning and stuff to do that. So don't beat yourself up. Everybody in this chat room, I'm sure, and us included, have been in your shoes. You try to clean a game, you try to do something, try to move it across the room, and it quits working. We always say if it's not broke, don't fix it. Yep. But we do like to clean our games, and we do think that they will last longer, if they will run better if they are clean and not corroded with dust or layers of dust. So it's not a bad idea, and I think he did the right thing, but probably just something got, bumped or moved or whatever. I can't really say for sure, but I hope, nothing got wet and caused a damage. But if you'll check those voltages, you might just need to tweak them again a little bit.
And I'm going to echo this because Naomi's are notoriously power hungry. And so you do want to make sure that your voltage is maybe a little bit higher than what you normally set it out at. Plus, Naomi is a cartridge-based system. So you need to make sure that cartridge is making a good connection to the board. That's very important. And so when you cleaned it, you may have just accidentally moved that cartridge just enough for it to not make a good connection. You may need to lift the cartridge up, put it back on. You may have to do that a couple of times, Tim. We've actually had that happen before. So Naomi can be very picky about how those cartridges are set in there. So be careful about that. But also make sure that your power supply is maybe a little bit higher. We talked about the 5.1 earlier in the show. Let's maybe about 5.1 on Naomi too, because it is a power hungry system that wants to make sure you get good voltage to it. So, but those would be the things that I would recommend. And I think for that, I think you'll be in good shape if you try those things. So we know that the self-test ran and it's working. So we know that for the most part, the board and the cartridge should be in good shape. Up, yeah. Right, exactly. But again, power and cartridge seating, sometimes that can be the case. So Tim, let me go ahead and throw this up here. For a beginner here, Andre, you've done a great job of troubleshooting so far. Running the self-test and the test service menu is a great place to start on an issue like this. Of course, it doesn't sound like the board or the cartridge are having an issue since everything came back good. It is well documented that Sega Naomi system is a notoriously power-hungry system. You need to make sure that your power supply is adjusted to the correct voltage. It's a good idea to even bump it up a bit, like we talked about, 5.05, 5.1 on the 5 volts line, in order to ensure that the board is getting enough power. You may need to replace the power supply even if it's not going to continue to do that. We also talked about the cartridge, Tim, and you can see the Marvel vs. Capcom cartridge here with the Naomi system in the picture that you sent us. If you may need to take the cartridge out and plug it back in a couple of times to make sure that it's making that good connection. We've had those for some reason. I don't know if it's just because they're sensitive or whatever, but sometimes that connection of that cartridge to the board is very sensitive. And so you may need to unseat it, reseat it a couple of times just to make sure that it's in there really good. That's very common. In fact, Nate echoed that too, Tim. Yeah, and you can get 1 to 3 different errors from not having the Naomi cartridge in tight. That is true. But the fact that you're not getting an error, though, to me, almost makes me lean more to power supply, because I feel like if the cartridge wasn't seated properly, we'd probably get a self-test error, but that's not necessarily the case, so make sure that you do unseat it at least once, reseat it, and make sure it's making that good connection. So, anything else here, Tim, for Andre before we move on?
I don't think so.
Sounds good. So, Andre, hopefully that answers your question. If you need additional help, please let us know, and good luck getting that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 back up and running. Great game, Tim. We had one of those.
Oh, yeah, we love that game.
Yeah, we had one of those. So, and Tim, I think this is our last one before we get to the quick question and answer.
Okay.
So this one's from Mark, guys. So let's go ahead and take Mark's question here real quick. Mark says, "Hi, I've watched several of your videos and they're great. I am learning quite a bit from them. I purchased a Galaxian that has a 60-in-1 arcade board conversion in it. It came with a new JAMA wiring harness. I have printed out the pinouts, but I'm still not sure exactly how to wire in the new harness. Do the following wires go to the joystick?" And he says, pin 18, 1 player up, pin 19, 1 player down, pin 20, 1 player left, pin 21, 1 player right. Do I disregard the 2 player up, 2 player down, 2 player left, 2 player right, 2 player buttons 1 through 4, and 1 player buttons 1 through 4. Only buttons on the console are the fire button and the 1 and 2 player start buttons. Also, with this conversion, do I disregard the coin counters and lockout coils? Is there a conversion to replace the CRT with either an LCD or LED computer monitor? Thank you very much, Mark. So, Tim, we really have about 3 different questions here. The first one here he's asking about is how do we do the wiring on a 60-in-1? What pins do we wire up here? And so his first question was like, okay, do I wire up the joystick to the 1-player directional wires?
Yes.
And that is a yes, correct? Now, he's saying, can I disregard everything else?
Well, yeah, if you're only going to need, 2 buttons?
Well, only 1 button. He only has a fire button because he's got a Galaxian. Right, he's got a Galaxian. So he only needs the one button for fire, basically. And so in this particular case, the player 1 button 1 wire would need to be hooked up. But everything else could be disregarded. Right?
Sure could.
So, and you don't want to forget about the start buttons either, because you do have the start buttons. There are dedicated pins on JAMA for its player 1 and player 2 start buttons, and so make sure that those are hooked up as well. But once you do that, that's pretty much it. Now, keep in mind, Tim, we've talked about the Gunsmoke thing, where Gunsmoke originally required 3 buttons, but there's a setting in the dip switch to make it use 1 button. And so if you want to play Gunsmoke on the 60-in-1 board, you may need to modify that. But other than that, pretty much every other game on the 60-in-1 can be played with just 1 button for the most part. It's not the ideal way, because you have games like Kicks that have slow and fast draw, and you've got Super Cobra that has like a fire and a bomb and stuff like that. But you can play most everything else with 1 button. Right. So, just player 1 button 1 plus the player 1 joystick directions should be all you need as far as the controls are concerned on the 60-in-1 board. Tim, what about the lockout coils and the coin counters? What can
you don't need those.
Yeah.
Those were for operators just to keep up with how much money they were making. There's no, unless you just want to hook them up and see how many plays you play, there's no sense in it.
Right. Now, what about a CRT, or what about using an LCD monitor with the 60-in-1 board? Can we do that? Can we use the LCD with it? Is there like a conversion or something like that?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, plenty of them.
In fact, with this, we don't even have to use a video converter board.
No.
Because the 60-in-1 has what, Tim?
It has a video output on the board.
Correct. And so all it requires you to do is to change a dip switch, which we'll talk about here in a second because we got another question about that. But if you change, I think it's the second dip switch, if you change that to, I think, the on position, that'll do the VGA output. And like I said, we'll talk about that here in a second. And all you have to do at that point is just install an LCD and hook it up.
Right.
And if you
But of course, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you.
Well, I was just thinking, but of course, everybody in the chat room and us are probably going to scream, why not just leave it a Galaxian and leave it alone and build you a 60-in-1? But it's to each his own, right? That's not what his question was.
Absolutely. So, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, the Galaxian may not have been working. Board may have been missing, Tim. We don't know. So, hey, do what you want to do with your Galaxian cabinet, Mark. So, but I think that answers all the questions, right?
Yeah.
So, player 1 directions, player 1 button 1, only ones you need for controls. Make sure you hook up player 1 and player 2 start buttons, and you'll be good to go. Don't need the lockout or the coin counters unless you just want to. And then, yes, LCD is definitely an option because you have a VGA output on the board. So, Tim, let's just go ahead and summarize all that. Yes, the player one up, player one down, player one left, player one right wires go to the joystick. You can disregard the rest except for the player one button, one wire, and it will go to the fire button on your control panel. Make sure you hook up the player one and player two start wires to their respective locations as well. You do not need to hook up the coin counter and lockout coils. They are not required for the game to operate. And make sure you change that gun smoke setting, like we talked about, Tim, to where you basically hit the fire button and it shoots all three directions. As for the CRT to LCD conversion, you can accomplish this by changing the video output dip switch on the 60-in-1 board to VGA mode and hooking up an off-the-shelf LCD screen. We do recommend, you can do it off the shelf, but we do recommend a commercial-grade arcade quality LCD, which you can get from Holland Computers, Twisted Quarter, Arcade Shop, or wherever fine arcade monitors are sold, right, Tim?
Yeah.
So you can get those pretty much anywhere. So, I mean, it's up to you if you want to go that route, but if your monitor is working, leave it in there at least till it dies, right? So, anything else from Mark, Tim, before we move on?
No, I don't think so. Thank you, Mark, I think it's some really good questions, though, that might have some simple answers, but at the same time, we've all been there. So thank you for asking. We hope that you understood everything. If not, email us back. Let us know you need some clarification.
Absolutely. So good luck with your project, Mark, and let us know how it goes with all of the suggestions that we made to you. So. Over here, let's see, Nate says a board. Yep, the board has the VGA straight plug and play on that. That is right. 61s have a VGA port on it, which is nice. Let's see. Nate says if it's operating and just wants free play, disregard the whole coin section. That's true. So you could, you may not have to hook up the coin section either if you're just going to do free play. I mean, that's up to you. Totally up to you. If you want to do coin, but the coin counter and the coin lockout, you still don't need those necessarily. You can just hook up the coin wires up to your up to the coin switches, and it'll operate on coin play like that. You won't have the counts, you won't have the lockout, but those things we don't always hook those up anyway. So I mean, the counter is only really important if you're going to do auditing. So if you're going to audit your coin drops, and the lockout is for security, right, Tim?
Correct.
So I mean, so if you're worried about people getting into your game, you may want to hook up the lockout. But I mean, for the most part, if it's a home game, you probably aren't worried about that. So, Angelina says you could just buy one up. That is true if you want to go that route, and not tear apart a nice Galaxian. But
for sure,
again, to each their own. It's your cabinet. Do what you want to with it. So. Okay, Tim, well, it's that time of the show where we do the quick question and answers. And so I've got 3 questions. For those of people who don't know, I rapid fire 3 questions to Tim, and he rapid fires the answers back to us. And these are quick ones, so they're not as long as some of the ones we've already covered. And so I will go ahead and do that now. Let us get to the 3 questions for this episode, Tim. The first question is from BH and kind of follows along with what we just answered. I've got a 60-in-1 JAMA PCB board, and the VGA output does not work. Why not? Please help. We have the chef next. Hello, I've got an original tabletop Tiger Heli arcade game, and it works great until after 15 or 10 minutes, and the screen flips 180 degrees. Any idea what could cause that? And then we have Jumping General, who's actually in the live chat with us tonight. Where is the game today that you picked up in the How to Find Your Arcade Games video? What year was that film? So Tim, you're gonna have to use your Wayback Machine there on that one. But let's go ahead and answer these questions. We've got BH with the VGA output on 60-in-1. We have the chef with Tiger Heli and screen flipping on a cocktail cabinet, and we have Jumping General with where's that game today and what year was that film? So Tim, let's go ahead and take BH's first. Okay, we have a 60-in-1. I've got my thing hooked up to the VGA port. Why is it not working?
Well, probably because the dip switch is on the wrong setting, and switch 2 should be on the on position.
Just like we said in the previous question.
Or you got a bad board.
Yeah, and 61 bad boards, common. The chef here, so I have my Tiger Heli, and for some reason after 10 or 15 minutes it wants to flip the screen 180 degrees.
I'm wondering if it's in cocktail mode.
Right.
And same thing, a dip switch setting, you need to turn that off because it thinks it's player 2's turn and it's flipping over.
Right.
Quite possibly. That's where I would start.
Right. And then Jumping General. So, Tim, I'm going to give you a little bit of I'm going to help you.
Okay.
This video was a black tiger that we picked up from Vince that we used to see at the trade day.
Oh,
so
wow.
You remember this?
Yes.
Okay.
With the killer Pomeranian.
Yes, with the killer Pomeranian dogs. He bred Pomeranian dogs.
Wow.
And then he also sold video games at trade days. And so, with that in mind, Tim, do you remember what happened to the black tiger? Because I'm sure we sold it at some point, but I couldn't tell you where or when.
It seems like it got converted into something.
Yes.
I don't remember.
Do you know when that video was shot?
I don't remember.
Okay, 2005.
Wow.
Okay, so
I
2005.
would have thought earlier than that, but
yeah, that was before we had a YouTube channel. That was like I guess just when YouTube was becoming a thing even. So yeah, So if you go back and watch that video, we don't know what happened to the Black Tiger. I'm sure it got sold. And then as far as the video,
what happened to Vince.
Yeah, exactly. As far as the video, it was shot in 2005. So there you go. Okay, well, let me put this up here real quick, Tim, so we can all talk about what you just said here. So to B&H, like Tim mentioned, make sure that you have the display mode dip switch set to the on position, switch to for VGA output. If you got that set and you're still not getting VGA output, you could have a bad board. It's very common. Okay, 61 boards are made cheaply, and so sometimes they don't operate so great. So again, try to switch that dip switch, see if it helps you out. On the Chef, Tim mentioned, it's a tabletop/cocktail game, which they're designed to flip when the second player's turn. So you can turn this off, okay, and that's going to be dip switch 4 on bank A. If you turn that to the off position, you can turn that off. But that's there so that the screen will flip properly for the second player. Now, if you have it in a cabinet where you only have a one-player side, you may want to turn off cocktail mode, right? I mean, it just depends. But if you want to turn off the flipping, more than likely it is due to the cocktail mode dip switch. And Jumping General, here you go. Black Tiger that we picked up has long been sold. Video was shot in 2005. And the guy in the video, Vince, was a console video game seller at that would go to different local trade days events in our area and sell dogs, and he would also sell console video games. And so there you go. That Black Tiger was a nice cabinet. It was a Williams.
Yeah, I'm still trying to remember what exactly we did with that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a Williams cabinet over there, but I know that's not it. You know what? We may have sold that to Stan.
Maybe.
That seems like one of the ones Stan may have had.
That sounds like it.
Yeah, I was about to say. So that may be in Stan's collection, and I'm sure if it's in Stan's collection, it's probably a Williams game now. It probably went back to whatever it was, because Stan tends to convert things back. So I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up at Stan's. But I'm not sure. It may have ended up at auction.
Yeah, maybe so.
Or it may have ended up somewhere else. Guys, we've gone through so many games. I can't remember all the games we've gone through anymore.
Literally at that time, from 2005 to probably 2010, hundreds of games.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was busy. So, yeah, I mean, and that was a great pickup. He got that thing for little or nothing, and we traded him. I think I put together an old computer with a whole bunch of console game emulators on that, so he could play, like, different games he didn't get to play and stuff, and that's basically all we traded him for it. I mean, it was a good deal, and I know we had it in your game room for a while. Like, I remember it, but after I left Tim's game room, who knows? Could have gone anywhere, because, like I said, we were rotating through games as fast as we could at that point, so. But if you haven't watched that video, it's pretty interesting. Like I said, it's from 2005, Tim, and it was shot with my old 8mm camcorder that I converted the video over to, and so it's an 8mm film, which is pretty bad quality. It's in 4:3 because it was shot in 4:3, and, I mean... Golly, I mean, that was before we ever thought about YouTube. That was before YouTube was even a thing.
Right.
So, in fact, I just released that video just because I found the video one day. One of these days, when I die, Tim, there's gonna be so much. Somebody's gonna go through all the arcade repair tips, like unreleased footage, and be like, "Man, there's enough here to make 3 more DVDs."
There probably is.
Anyway, so yeah, I just found that and I put it out there, and so there you go. I thought it was a fun video. Because it was like before arcade repair tips, really. So
it was funny though to tell that story. If you guys that haven't seen it, some of you probably been here a while and you've never seen that video. It was one of the first ones we ever shot. It was funny. It wasn't staged or anything. We ran across when we got to this guy's house. It said, "Beware of dogs."
Yep.
And so we're thinking we're fixing to get attacked by Rottweilers, Doberman Pinschers, German Shepherds, something. And the guy raised Pomeranians, and our ankles were not safe, but they were pretty friendly dogs. I guess he did that to scare off anybody, but we had no idea what we were getting into. I'll never forget that day, though. That was a fun day.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Vince is he lived out in the middle of nowhere, and I mean, basically just traded. He had like a little. You saw it in the video. He lived in a little trailer and was very content with what he had, raising the dogs, playing video games all day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, man, that kind of sounds like the life sometimes. You know, you got a piece of land, everything's paid for, and you're just going to trade days and trading games to play other games. And so,
if you ever want to see a snapshot of real Texas life, backwoods country, this is the one.
That's it.
Right?
Sure. So, absolutely. So, but there you go. Tiger Heli, totally forgot about that game. Yeah, I know. Golly, it was crazy. So, let's see here. Jumping General, I didn't need what I found inside, but I picked up a clutch hitter cabinet in a friend's garage, and there was a live possum at the bottom.
Oh, wow.
It happens.
A live one.
Live
so not
possum.
dead. Okay.
Yeah, that's right, live.
Oh, that's always interesting.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to find. People put arcade games wherever. They'll put them in the garage. They'll put them in their barn. Bard sale, right? like tonight.
Right.
Barn. I mean, they'll put them wherever. Tim picked up a Tron cabinet out of a barn for what, $15?
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, golly, I mean, it's just, I mean, people will they'll stash them anywhere. Have you heard the famous Tim story about him going to get his Mortal Kombat 2 and like you're walking around this dude's house and he's got arcade games everywhere?
Yeah.
At the guy's house?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, like just some guy just had arcade games everywhere.
Washing machine, dryer, arcade game. It's like refrigerator, arcade game next to it. It was kind of interesting.
Exactly. So, I mean, just never know where people are going to put these things. So, it is what it is. Well, Tim, I think it's that time of the year and that time of the show.
Yay.
Where we open some gifts.
Let's do it.
So, I need to cue some...
Christmas music or something?
Royalty-free Christmas music, but I don't have any, sorry. So, if somebody would like to hum in the live chat or maybe you can just list what your favorite Christmas songs are while we open this. And so, I've got Tim's here and the Santa paper.
Johnson always does a lot better job at wrapping and stuff than I do.
Jonathan,
this is yours, and I always opt out for the easy wrapping.
I was thinking I would do a video called The Art of Wrapping, like ART, Arcade Repair Tips. The Art of Wrapping, no?
I see.
Because I learned how to wrap, like at one point...
you got more patience than me. Looks pretty good.
I can wrap gifts fast now. I'm fast. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I learned how to wrap at one point, and I was like, I'm always going to wrap things, because once you have that skill... You need to use it. So there you go. Okay.
Well, who's going first?
I think you should go first.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you go first.
You're gonna be like
we're filming it. I mean,
my mother, grandmother always say the bows.
You don't have to say that.
Okay. All right.
You can just open it.
Let's see.
I do try to make it TV friendly to open. Like remember like on sitcoms where they just lift the top of the box or whatever.
It's definitely in a prime box.
Yeah, everything's in a prime box.
Everything is right.
Literally everything.
Okay, so inside it looks like some goodies. Oh yeah, this looks like a Lowe's gift card.
Hey, for the man who needs tools or anything else.
Always, always, always. And then, this is so cool. You're not gonna believe this.
Did you get that one already?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I did.
Oh, okay.
But not for me.
Oh.
And I told
you got for somebody else.
Well, this is going to be a cool story.
Okay.
You're going to like this.
Okay.
I saw this particular shirt, and I thought, it's just different. It says Cowboys on the front, and then it's kind of gray on the back.
It's a performance tee.
Yeah.
With wicking material.
It's almost, it's
wicking.
It's different. It's
like
almost
Under Armour.
Yeah, it's almost like something, it's not just your normal t-shirt. It's a little nicer.
Right.
And when I saw it, I was attracted to it, and I was wanting to buy it. And I thought, you know what? I'm fixing to go to Germany. My friend Andy is a huge Cowboys fan. I'm going to get that shirt for him. And I told my wife, but it was the last one, and I was in Gun Barrel City, Texas. And I said, you need to check, and I'll have to show her this one tonight, because I said, you need to check and see if the Tyler Walmart has it, because I would really like to have one of them. And of course, you didn't know any of that.
Nope.
So what a cool shirt. You can't beat it.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
He said he wanted Cowboy shirts. So
yeah.
We went Cowboys instead of arcade. There you go.
Cowboys established 1960, almost same time as me.
Yep.
And thank you, Jonathan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I told you that. Well, I already know that my son is getting me a CD Lamb jersey. So he could. You ever have one of your kids that gets something that he was so excited he could not tell me?
Oh, yes.
But he wanted to make sure he got the right size and everything. So he's really excited. So he got some kind of special deal on them. But it's an authentic CD Lamb jersey. So I will take it. But I said, I need some regular shirts just so I can wear around and everything. And Jonathan, you nailed it. As usual, always a good gift giver. And thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm ready for you to open yours.
To open
There's 3 things in there.
We are Cowboys fans, so I mean you can't
yeah.
It is what it is.
We got probably some haters in the chat room.
Oh. Did I kill it?
We killed the chat. We killed the whole show.
Yeah, I think we did.
We've never done that before. I'm trying to get this out of the way.
Okay, are we still back? Sorry, I think we killed the show there for a second. I hit the back button on the browser.
Oh, okay.
But it looks like we're back. Let me see. Are we back?
Somebody say something in the chat room. Okay.
Okay. There you go. That's what I get for fat fingering something there. Okay, here we go.
There's 3 things in there.
Let me see what I got. Oh, very nice. Wireless charging pad. With the best team in baseball on it.
Yeah.
And then
I thought it's almost like a coaster too.
It does. It looks like a coaster. I almost
But
would
it's
have
a charging pad.
And then very nice. Oh, look at this. TV alignment tools, right, Tim?
Yeah, it's
a little bit different.
It's Weller. No, this is actually for soldering.
Oh, okay.
It's got like
gotcha.
a little brush cleaner for cleaning the things and for poking the holes, and it's made by
a wire
Weller.
brush. Very nice.
Yeah, it's specifically made for soldering, so it has different tips and things. You guys can see the back here.
Very nice.
Where you use it to clean up the holes and stuff. And, it's kind of like one of those tools. I like to get Jonathan tools, and over the years, I probably have stocked him up pretty good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But sometimes I run across something, I'm like, I bet he doesn't have this.
Do not.
And so, it's not huge, so hopefully you can use
I
that.
got to do some soldering, so you never know.
And one more.
See. Oh, here we go. Of course. Can't get enough Ranger t-shirts, for sure. So, absolutely, sir. Thank you very much.
The same way.
Yep.
Now, I started to get you one, of course, that said World Champions and stuff, but really can only wear that 1 year.
Well,
in our age, we keep t-shirts for several years.
That's true.
You don't want to be 3 years from now World Champions.
I'm probably going to still be wearing my World Champions.
Okay. Maybe not the best example.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, this one does say Rangers on it, and they are the World Champions, so
they are.
this.
They are.
So you can wear that wherever you would like to wear it.
Absolutely.
So you got the Rangers, I got the Cowboys. We're all covered.
That's right. And I'll go ahead and put up what I got you here because I did put on the slide. So
okay.
Not that it's arcade related this year. Sometimes I try to get you arcade shirts, but like this year I was like,
you
want Cowboys? I'm like, I'm going to get them Cowboys. So
and they're having such a good season,
Exactly.
Some years that you don't want to wear it, but
right, exactly.
I'll
so
say that
you got what they call the end zone push shirt. That's what the first one was. You got the home stretch shirt. That's what the second one is called. And then you got the gift card. So there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for my stuff because I can't have enough Texas Ranger shirts, especially with them being the world champions.
That's me.
Did I mention they're the world champions?
I was trying to pick out which one. I'm like, what does it matter? They're all Ranger shirts. They're all awesome. Feel like any of them.
Absolutely.
So I just hope you got the right
and Angelina wanted to see our shirts. So mine is pretty basic. It's just got the Pac-Man with the ornament and then the trees as the little thing.
And mine, let's see if I can really get close. Looks kind of like the Donkey Kong thing, and it's got what's his name?
Krampus.
Krampus,
right?
Yeah. It's got Krampus down here. You can't really see it there. And anyway, he's going up the Donkey Kong thing, and then there's the Krampus up here, and they've got the presents and stuff. I got this one last year, and like I said, second year in a row I've worn it, but I might switch it up next year. We'll see.
Absolutely. I don't know if the live chat's working, so if you're listening to us, just send us a little thing on the live chat to let us know that you heard this.
Right. We had a little technical difficulty.
Yeah, since we had that technical difficulty, I haven't seen anything, so I'm like, did anything come through? Are we okay? Everything okay? So, I mean...
Yeah, I'd say enough. It's kind of quiet.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, hopefully we're still connected. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we just going to go on? Well, we're recording it no matter what. I'm sorry. That's my bad. We're working. Okay, thank you, Nate. So yeah, I hit one of my little thumb buttons on my mouse is the back button, and I accidentally had it hovering over the browser when we did it. So, okay, we're good.
Okay,
thank you,
Ken.
Okay,
Thank you.
Golly, so that's what we get. Hopefully, we had just a second of delay there, and everything else is okay. So, anyway, so yeah, there you go. Cowboys are doing good. We'll talk about that in the after show here in a bit. Texas Rangers won the World Series. I can't say that enough. Tim, I love it that every time I watch a Cowboy game, they mention that because they show that nice picture of AT&T Stadium, and they're like, "Oh, look over there, Globe Life Field. That's the home of the world champion Texas Rangers, right there."
And we may talk in the after show about there's a lot of rumors going around about Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And maybe another Dallas team.
That's true.
So we'll see.
We can talk about that too. We'll get there in the after show, guys. So stay tuned for that. We still have a little bit more live show to do, even though we just did the gift exchange. So I tell you what, Tim. I think we should give away stuff. It's Christmas.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
So here's what I'm going to do. I don't have anything specific, but I have an entire box of stuff I want to give away.
Okay.
An entire box. And
entire box.
Here's what we're going to do. If you're watching live tonight, okay, now you need to make this password good. I'm going to let you think about it for a second while I do all this other stuff, okay? Something that is Christmassy but not easily guessable.
Okay.
But this is what we're going to do. We're going to do the same thing we always do. You're going to send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com. This only goes for people who are watching it live. So if anything comes in after about 8 o'clock tonight, Central Time, then those entries are out. So if you want to get your entry in, you got to get it in. So send an email to us at contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Make sure you include your name, your shipping address, and the password.
Okay, it's a phrase.
Oh, passphrase.
Passphrase, and you can do one or two.
Okay.
Die Hard is or is not a Christmas movie.
I love this. Die Hard is or is not a Christmas movie. I think we debated this one.
Yes.
Time, right? So Die Hard is or Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Either one.
You put what you decide in there. That's going to be the phrase. So again, write an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Put your name, your shipping address, and then put the passphrase Die Hard is/is not a Christmas movie, depending on your opinion. Sounds good to me. And if you do that, I think we're just gonna ship prizes, as many prizes as we have, to whoever responds.
So, a whole box of stuff.
I got a whole box.
A whole box.
So if you get in before 8 o'clock Central Time tonight, you're gonna get something probably. So I mean, that's what I'll tell you. So and this will be the only time I think we'll mention it, because it's when we're talking about the presents. So again, email contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Make sure you put your name, your shipping address, and the passphrase Die Hard is or Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. That is up to you. But if you send that in, there's a very good likelihood you will get something. So there you go. We're gonna be Christmassy, and we're just gonna, me and Tim got each other presents. We'll just give everybody else a present too.
Right.
So there we go. So get those in, and again, before 8 o'clock Central Time, so you have another hour and 15 minutes. And this will be the last time we mention it the entire show. Okay.
Done.
So there you go. We're done. So Tim, let us move into our discussion portion of the show real quick. And Tim, the first bit of news we have here is a sad one, I know, for you, because Chucky was the animatronic Chucky you worked a lot of hours on.
Yes.
What would you estimate you probably worked on that thing over your entire Chuck E. Cheese career?
Probably at least a full year.
Yeah. I mean, 1 year out of the, 15 or 10 years you were there?
17 years
17 years you were there. So there you go. But Chuck E. Cheese has announced a new band residency in Northridge, California, which, Tim, they're trying to put a positive spin on this, but we all know that basically means they're taking out animatronics out of every other Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes.
So Chuck E. Cheese has announced that animatronic characters are being retired at all of their locations except for the Northridge, California location, where Munch's Make-Believe Band will have an exclusive permanent residency. The announcement comes on the heels of the recent release of Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. Tim, have you watched Five Nights at Freddy's?
I have watched it.
Is it good?
It's okay.
Okay. I've heard that Willy's Wonderland is better.
Yeah. It's like, I didn't think Willy's Wonderland was the best movie ever. But it is probably better than Five Nights.
Okay.
It was okay. And I haven't seen it all. I've only seen part of it. I was on a plane. And about that time, they started making announcements and cut it out or whatever. But
right. So I'm not... I'm not sure.
I need to watch the whole thing to really get the cinematic viewpoint that I should give, but it doesn't say it's kind of cheesy. I heard it was not good, but it made a lot of money. Yeah, it did.
And it was one of those movies that came out at the movie theater and on Peacock at the same time.
Yeah.
And I have Peacock. I just haven't watched it. I just haven't been motivated to watch it. But I have been curious about it. But Tim, this is super sad for me.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the animatronics. I did. Mm-hmm. I know they're kind of creepy, but I like them.
Well, and I have insider information to tell you why, in particular, they're wanting to take a lot of those out.
Okay. Oh, why is this?
Other than not being able to get parts.
Right, exactly.
They're broke down
Working
a lot.
on this stuff. Yeah, exactly.
The new game plan, from what I'm hearing, is to install trampoline parks in most Chuck E. Cheese's.
Wow, okay.
I think they're about 10 years too late.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think that the kids will still enjoy it when they go there. Probably today's kids will enjoy that more than they did the live animatronics.
My kids love trampoline parks.
So.
And the one trampoline park that they love. Now, we have two here, and those are good.
Yes.
But my daughter is obsessed with a YouTube family, the Ninja Kids.
Okay.
Okay, and they've got way millions more followers than we do, Tim.
Wow.
But they have a trampoline park here in Texas, and we go there, and my kids just think it's the best thing ever.
Wow.
And it's cooler than the ones we have here. I will give them that.
Okay.
But they love the Ninja Kids trampoline park. And so they like trampoline parks we have here too, but that one's like the one that my daughter wants us to take, like her and like 3 of her friends all the way to Dallas for her birthday just for that.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's how good it is. So trampoline parks are definitely a thing. So I get that. Yeah, the Ninja Kids one is the one that my daughter likes so much. And like I said, if you're here on YouTube, you can look up the Ninja Kids. They got like 45 million subscribers or something. So way more than us.
Right, a little bit. A few more.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so trampoline parks are big. I can see that. but it makes me sad.
Yeah, it makes me very sad, and not just that, but at the same time, there are a lot of people like our friend Craig and people who are redoing their own.
Yep.
And you can go and see some private individual ones and maybe make a stop. There was the video that was shot, or the movie that was shot about it.
Right.
And so those can make some good stops now, and I'm glad to see some people still working and trying to get those old bands back up and going.
Absolutely. I always thought animatronics were cool. I always. I just thought they're cool. Disney in their recent rides, man, they have taken that to a new level. Animatronics in Disney now are amazing.
Yes.
But I mean, still,
But
still
that's what they're competing against. Again,
Right, exactly.
show the picture. Show the picture. This is what they're competing with at Disney, and kids today just are not that interested. Sorry.
I don't know. I think maybe it's because they scaled them back. I think there would still be a way to do it and have kids interested, because kids like to go on those dark rides, for instance. They still like to do that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so maybe if they put more money into making them cool, maybe it'd be different. But obviously, they're not willing to do that. So it'd be a lot for techs to keep up with.
Sure would.
So anyway, but it makes me sad. I'm glad that there's one location that still has them, and I'm glad that there's other individual independent collectors that are keeping the bands together for like Rocket Fire Explosion and things. But it still makes me sad. So. Let's see. Regster Show says anyone who puts Die Hard is a Christmas movie should be banned from winning. I'm in the Die Hard is a Christmas movie camp, along with Just Friends, Trading Places, Batman Returns. Those are all Christmas movies. Okay, so don't tell me that. Serendipity is also in there.
Okay.
So those are Christmas movies, people. There are. And Catch Me If You Can.
All right.
Every time Tom Hanks finds Leonardo DiCaprio, when is it? It's Christmas.
Right.
Okay. Michael says the last time the Cowboys won the Super Bowl, the Macarena was on the radio. That is correct. Actually, that is correct. It's been hard going for Cowboys fans. And, everybody's like, man, y'all are doing really good this year. You can make a run at it. And I'm just like, ha!
Yeah.
Ha! Yeah, right.
We've had a lot of good years, but
yes.
not a lot of good endings.
We've won one playoff game in like the last 10 years or whatever it is.
I'm telling you guys, you heard it here first. The curse has been broken. Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson have made up, and Jimmy Johnson's on the Ring of Honor. It has lifted the curse. We're going farther this year, and Dak Prescott is on fire.
Tim, I used to not believe in the impossible, but then the Rangers won the World Series,
There
and now
you go.
I do believe that anything is possible because I never thought I would see that. So there you go. Let's see. Nate says, "Are you still able to purchase them, or would you even want to have one, Tim? An animatronic Chucky for your personal?"
I would love to have one.
I mean, you know how to work on it.
Yeah, I think it would be cool just to have one. I don't know where you would actually purchase one from. Probably people are getting them out of the dump more than the when they're doing installs.
Right.
They're probably stealing them out of the trash
What
barrel.
happened to yours?
As far as I know, that's exactly what happened to it. I wasn't there the day they took it out. It was after I left Chucky and went to probably on my current job. They literally probably threw him in the big dumpster outside.
Oh, sad.
So maybe somebody here local has him. Yeah. I'll find out.
Let's see. Yes, Michael Bloom is with me. It's not Christmas until Hans Gruber falls from Nakatomi Plaza.
Right.
Nakatomi Tower. He's got to fall.
Mm-hmm.
I like the advent calendar where you just move him down. It's awesome. Let's see. Arcade Survival says, should we start collecting Chuck E. Cheese animatronics? Yeah, some people are.
Oh, yeah.
There's a documentary about the Rocket Fire Explosion that came out, 2 or 3 years ago. That's really good. You should watch that. And people like our friend Craig, who runs Fun here in Mesquite, Texas.
Yeah, Pinball Amusement.
Yeah, he sells pinball machines and arcade games and pool tables, among other things. But he has a piece of the Rocket Fire Explosion. I forget, Billy Bob, right? He's got the Billy Bob piece. So, and that's not Rocket Fire. That's something else. I can't remember. But he's got an animatronic piece to that. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, if you can find them, grab them. Yeah, grab them, right? Mm-hmm. So, Iron Man 3 took place at Christmas time. Is it a Christmas movie? Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, Iron Man 3. I love Iron Man 3. Fantastic. Anything that takes place at Christmas is a Christmas movie.
Something along that effect. Yeah. But
I need to watch Violent Night again. It's on my list.
Really? I have not watched
that. You have
not
seen it?
And
it is fantastic. It's Die Hard, but Bruce Willis is Santa's Bruce Willis, basically. Okay. It's the same kind.
And I love the actor.
Yes. David, what's his name?
Because he played in Stranger Things.
Yes.
And in movie we'll talk about later, Gran Turismo.
Yes. Oh, yes. Tim, you got to watch Gran Turismo?
I did.
Okay, so tell me what you... Now, I believe my recommendation was every single person should watch it.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm glad you watched it. We'll talk about it in the after show, okay? So hold your opinions. Let us move on, though, to our next little bit here, Tim. And this was really sad, and this is still kind of ongoing. Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum faces possible demolition in Farmington Hills. And this is near Detroit, Tim. Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum is looking at an uncertain future. Recent development plans for a strip mall would demolish Marvin's and put a Maher in its place. So, Tim, that's a grocery store, for those people who don't know. So Marvin, back when Marvin was still around, because he's passed away now, but he had a lot of great information on his website, and he was super great about helping people with their issues. And he's passed now. I think he passed, 3 or 4 years ago. And so I don't know who's been doing it now, like who's been running the storefront and everything, but it looks like they're looking at tearing it down and putting a strip mall in its place, basically.
It should be a national landmark.
Absolutely. So what do you like, a historical landmark?
It is a historical landmark.
So the last update that I got was that the planning commission voted to approve the strip mall, okay, which puts the arcade at risk. The proposal still requires the approval of the city council. Okay, so there's a petition, guys, okay, that you can go sign to say, hey, we support Marvin's. And if you go to this link for this news story, they link to that petition. Go sign the petition.
Go sign the petition,
okay?
Everybody.
Marvin's is a fantastic place. And like I said, Marvin was such a great guy in himself, even though he's passed. I'm sure the people who run it still, I think it may be his son or anything like that. Oh, it's pronounced Meyer.
Yeah,
Sorry. Meyer. You see, we don't have one around here, so I don't know. We have some different grocery stores around here. Mainly Walmart. I think that's where I go. But anyway, Meyer. So, but yes, what we have here, guys, is just basically the demolition of a landmark here that's been around a long time, and it has it has a good impact on that community too, Tim. A lot of people have memories of going to Marvin's that live around that Detroit area and Farmington Hills. And so with that in mind, sign the petition, guys.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Marvin, you're in the chat room, I would love, just speak up. I would love to hear your experience there. Yeah,
because, I mean, there were times where we sent people his way, especially for stuff that was older, that was outside of our expertise as far as repair goes. Like Marvin has stuff that's very unique. Pieces that you just didn't find anywhere else, and he had a lot of experience on repairing that stuff that we didn't. And so please sign the petition at the link, and the link is also down below in the show notes, Tim. And just again, support this, because we want to keep it alive if we can. So I mean, I signed it, Tim. Hopefully everybody else will sign it too. But sometimes things happen. If at the very least, if they have, hopefully, if it does get approved, at least they'll get to relocate or something. You know what I'm saying? So, but it would be sad for it to move, I feel like, from where it is now anyway. So, again, sign the petition, guys. Support Marvin's. It just seems, it seems like the right thing to do, right?
Yep.
So there you go. Tim, more sad news coming from Braze Technologies, Tim. So Braze Technologies has permanently closed. Now, he's going to continue to keep the website up, but you can no longer order any more multi-game kits from him. So Braze Technologies, a well-known supplier of high-score save multi-game kits, has announced via their website that they have permanently closed on December 4th. It was also announced that all Braze kit designs will be open-sourced, and that phase 1 of this project is about 60% done, and if you can help with it, he is looking for people to help. So if that stuff gets open source, that means that people will still be able to produce it, Tim. And so I'm hoping that is the case. But Tim, I know you've ordered Braze kits in the past for some stuff, and we've installed them in the past. And so, just it's sad, but the fact that he's open sourcing it, I think will make up for that. Exactly, because that means at least the kits will still be available. People will be able to reproduce them and all that. So the good stuff. Oh, Joe says the info on his site was instrumental in me learning about pinball repair. That's Marvin.
Okay.
Yeah, see? So there you go. But anyway, guys. So Braze Technologies just, really sad. Because these multi-game kits, man, they're all over the place. We've seen several of them around. And so, guys, but it happens, right? I mean, just get to a point where it's like you're not getting many orders or whatever it is, and so you close down. But hopefully we'll see that open source release pretty soon. And if you want to help out with that, contact them and let them know. I'm sure they could use all the help they could get. I'm sure that's not an easy task by any means. And so, but it's a sad day for that because there are some really fine multi-game kits that they produce. So, Tim, this one was kind of out of the blue, it seemed like. Spooky Pinball decided that they were just going to announce 2 releases, and I think it caught a lot of people off guard, including me. They posted just a time, like 5:30, and then they announced it. And so here's what we got. Spooky Pinball announces their next 2 upcoming releases: Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Looney Tunes. Couldn't be more different, right?
I was going to say one extreme, one thing to the other, right?
Exactly. So Spooky Pinball has announced their next 2 new pinball releases. Only 888 units of each title will be produced. Each of the releases has its own development team and rules set. Both titles will come in a collector's edition, Bloodsucker edition, and a standard edition with an optional direct cabinet print upgrade. And the prices start, Tim, at $8,299.
Wow.
Yeah. So just a little pricey. The direct cabinet print, I think, is a $1,500 upgrade, and then of course the collector's edition. I think the Bloodsucker edition is $89, and the collector's edition is $92 or something like that.
Hey.
So if you were all in, you'd be looking at $92 plus $1,500, what $10,700 or $11,000, pretty close to it, all in.
Yeah.
So pretty pricey, but they look cool. Design looks nice, and I mean, I think it's cool that they've got 2 separate development teams working on the code and the rule sets and everything like that. So it's cool. I like Spooky puts out some good games. They put out some really good ones, and so if you're a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Looney Tunes, I mean, I think you'd be wanting to play either one of these games and kind of give it a go. So
great titles.
Yeah, absolutely. So man, there hasn't been a Looney Tunes pinball since the Bugs' Birthday Bash. Is that the last one that they had? So I mean, it seems like such a great family title, something that basically the whole family can get behind, right?
Sure.
And their last title was Scooby-Doo, right? So I mean, Scooby-Doo was kind of like that too, nice family title. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre definitely has its fans, especially around here, Tim. So I mean, Texas and all. So, but Tim, what do you think about either one of those? You have any opinions on the themes or?
No, I think
anything?
it's great themes. Kind of something that's a little out there, a little different than what everybody else is doing. And the price pretty much falls into where most other pinball games are going. So, of course, our thing is we always want to play them. Just because they look cool, we want to make sure they play fun.
There are a lot of people out there who have a lot more money than I do who will buy them sight unseen, Tim. And man, if you've got that kind of money, good for you. But if I'm going to buy a pinball machine, I got to play it first. I couldn't buy one sight unseen.
I think so.
I bought my X-Men at the end of the run. It was I think they were starting to take it off the line. So mine is one of the last Pro X-Men that came off the line before they retooled for another game. And it's because I wanted to play it before I bought it. And so once I played it, I was like, well, that's the game I got to get. But if you've got the money to just go out and buy a pinball machine without playing it first, then man, more power to you.
888. There's only 888.
Yeah, exactly. Only 888.
Interesting number. Yeah.
Exactly. So that makes them limited as well. So, but again, good releases, and I look forward to playing them. Tim, should we do the Pinball Festival trip this year?
Sure.
Maybe we need to do that.
We need to.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's been before COVID.
Been way
was the last
too long.
one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Tim, this was something I posted just playing around with some AI image generator.
Yes, that's funny.
So here is what one artificial intelligence image creator creates when you ask it to show you people repairing arcade games. So Tim, I've got these pictures here, and my comment was apparently you don't even need to access the back or even the inside of an arcade cabinet to fix it. You will see that all these people are located either in front or to the side of an arcade cabinet.
Right.
So apparently you don't have to crawl in the back of an arcade cabinet to fix it. Our friend Carl said, I don't mind spectators, but give a dude space. Sheesh. Man, I'm telling you, Tim, you got a whole audience there. It's almost like you're broadcasting to the world or something like that on all these. I mean, and David, our friend David Hohenstein from American Amusement Auctions says, that's the way Tim Peterson has been repairing games for almost a quarter of a century. He always enjoys at least 20 people hovering over him while he makes all the repairs outside of the cabinet. So there you go. So
yeah, I don't know what AI was thinking there.
Yeah, exactly. So
and they're like some mini games too, they're like arcade 1-ups or something, aren't they?
I can zoom in on this. Hang on a second. You guys can kind of see it here. Here we go. I'll give you guys a little bit closer look here. So there you go.
They're like definitely some cabarets or something, aren't they?
Yeah, so these look like arcade 1-ups for sure. Like they're so tiny. You know
But this one in the bottom left corner has a monster control panel for
I guess it's supposed to be like a slide out from the side control panel. I don't know, but you'll see the controls are on his right, but the wiring is on his left. I don't know how that works.
Is this like the AI 6 fingers? Where it's always adding an extra finger or something? They think that. It needs a little extra room down there for the controls.
Right, and you see this guy sitting, and he's almost at you can see that arcade is just barely above his head, like the one that's right here. And so it's wow, right there, come on. I mean, it's like an arcade 1-up right there if you're talking about that. Same thing with this guy. He's down on a knee, and he's almost up to the marquee height. Yeah. So apparently arcade 1-up is influencing AI on the sides of arcade games, is what I would say.
And it seems like the suspenders are definitely in. That way you don't have the butt crack showing when you're repairing them.
I'm all about the suspenders.
So maybe I need a good pair of suspenders. Maybe that's my problem.
Maybe. Let's see. Oh, that's Tim and the suspenders for sure. That's what Joe says. So I mean, it's just amazing. It's crazy. And I love these two people who are holding hands over here in this one. You see that? It's
we're getting all intimate.
Exactly. I'm getting intimate while the guys are playing an arcade game.
I'm trying to fix this thing and concentrate, and they're back here making out. What is this?
So there you go.
That was very funny, John.
I think it is interesting. That's all I was saying. So I mean, we're gonna zoom it back out so you guys can see. There you go. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, and give a guy some space, right? So there you go. But fun times with artificial intelligence. So. Now, Tim, that would normally be the end of our discussion section, but I had something happen to me this week that I wanted to take to the audience. And, okay, so the question, I'm questioning you and our audience, is did I do the right thing?
Okay.
Did I do the right thing? Okay. So, Tim, I ordered something for pickup at one of our local GameStops that was on sale. Now, only one of our GameStops had it, and it was the one way across town. Okay. You know which one I'm talking about.
I do.
Okay, so it's pretty far drive from here. It's close to my work, but not super close. I still have to drive a little bit from even my work to get there. So I ordered something for pickup, and it was all the way across town at this GameStop. Okay, that was pretty far from me. Okay, so Tuesday I go and I'm well, it says they don't close till 7, so I'm gonna go after work and pick it up because it's close to my work. So I got there about 4:45 p.m. Okay, now they close at 7.
Not 6:45.
No, 4:45.
2 hours and 15 minutes before closing.
You got it. So I get to the store, and the door is locked, and the metal security gate is down.
Okay.
Lights are on, and it looks like people are in there, but nobody's come to the door, and
you can't open the door.
It's locked, and the metal gates are locked.
Okay.
The security gates are locked behind the door. Right. Okay. So there was no sign on the door saying gone to lunch.
Yeah.
Be back at 11 at
emergency.
5, emergency, nothing like that. Okay, and I checked the door for the posted hours, and it said the same thing that I knew. 7 p.m.
Right.
Okay.
You wouldn't have drove all the way over there if it was closed.
Exactly. So I get in my car and I call the store, right? I'm going to at least call, and maybe they're just needing to open it up or whatever. I called 2-3 times, nobody picks up. It's I can see people in there, but I can't really see who it is because the security gate's down and everything like that. So I'm kind of mad.
Yeah.
Because I drove all the way over there and it's kind of far. Tim, I called the corporate office and I told them what happened. I was I went to this GameStop, I went to this location, and it doesn't close till 7. And I got there was no sign on the door, and it was closed. And she's like, okay, I'll report it. So my question is, did I do the right thing?
Well, it's not too hard. I think so, because it's not too hard to put a sign up on the door.
Am I being a quote-unquote Karen?
No, I don't think so. Not the fact that you drove all the way over there. It's not that hard. Now, maybe they did have an emergency.
Sure.
We don't know the whole story. And maybe it was just so quick they had to leave. But at the same time, it's really not that hard. If they wanted to close earlier, they're shorthanded or whatever, just to put up a sign, sorry for the inconvenience. Had they put up a sign that said, sorry for the inconvenience, we had a family emergency.
Wouldn't have called.
Funeral, wouldn't have cared.
Right.
Would have understood.
Exactly.
It's the fact they didn't say anything, and you drove all the way over there, and they didn't put anything up on their side or anything before you come, and didn't answer the phone or anything. So I think you were justified in making that additional call to say, hey, this should not be acceptable. It's not like they're going to shut them down or anything. They probably would just call and find out why, and then they probably would coach the manager to say, hey, you should do better this time.
So, update to the story, Tim. I went yesterday.
But you got to get your stuff,
right? Exactly. I went Tuesday, okay? I went yesterday, same time, same thing.
Ah.
Door was locked.
Same
Security
thing.
gates are closed.
Wow.
I went today during my lunch break.
Okay.
Open.
Okay, so they're just shutting down early.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was wasting my time in a big way, and I had to go during my lunch break, which I'm pressed for time on. If I go after work, like I don't have to worry, I'm just going home afterwards. I don't care. But I had to go during my lunchtime, and I'm kind of pressed for time, right? And it's not a super short drive over there, like we talked. It's really far from where I live. It's a little far from work, okay? Mm. And so, anyway, so what do you guys think? Did I do the right thing calling the corporate office and kind of talk? You know, here's my justification. I'll give you my side real quick.
Okay.
If I was the general manager of that store,
I'd want to know.
I'd want to know.
Yeah.
That was my justification.
Or the district manager.
I worked retail. Tim has worked retail.
Sure.
We worked retail, okay? So, like, if I was at Best Buy, and I went up to Best Buy, which is where I worked, and the door was locked, and I knew they were supposed to be open, and there was no sign on the door, I would have done the same thing. Because it's like, I want the store manager to know, hey, your store is closed.
Right.
You know, and it's like, even though it should be open, right? So that was my justification. It's like, if I was a store manager, I would want to know. If I'm corporate, I want to know. Because it's like, maybe the store manager is closing it down early and we're not making, revenue because of it, or whatever the case may be. Okay.
When you got there at noon, did they seem extra shorthanded? Was there just one person working? Two people working?
There's two. So it looked like the manager, and he had a trainee. Because he was still training the guy on what to do. So they may have just been the manager and the trainee may not have enough experience to close by himself.
Right.
So I mean, they may be shorthanded, but if you're shorthanded, just put a sign on the door saying shorthanded.
Right.
I mean, if there would have been a sign, I wouldn't have called it all.
Due to labor constraints or shortages,
Boom.
Basically I can't work every day.
Exactly. We had an employee call in. We had an employee call in. Closing early.
Sure.
Exactly. I mean, that's all I need was a sign. I would have done it. Anyway,
yeah.
Let's go to the live chat and see what you guys thought. Mm-hmm. Nate says 100% wasting time would have called. That being said, if you've seen folks in there, I'd bang the door to get their attention to see what's up. I didn't want to do that because they had the security gate locked. Mm-hmm. I could see just shadows back in there, but I was scared if I just banged on the door, I'd annoy them, kind of thing.
Right.
It's like
scare them.
Right, or something like that. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do that. That's why I called the store to see if they would pick up. Because I'm like, well, if I get somebody on the phone, I can say, hey, I'm here to pick up. Can you open it up for me, or whatever. So. Let's see. Arcade Sorrell says I would have driven my moped through the window. That's one thing to do. I don't have that good of insurance.
Burn it down.
Exactly. Let's see. Weez34 just says yes. I guess that's agreeing with me. Nate says could also have been not enough employees, so they close early, and their time is not updated on Google or their website. Yeah, exactly. So if that's the case, just put the sign.
Right.
That's all you have to do, and say, hey, it had to close early today. If they would have done that, if there would have been a sign there, I wouldn't have called it at all. Because it's like, okay, well, there's a reason they're doing it. I totally get shorthanded. I've been shorthanded. Like I said, I worked retail. Like, I understand shorthanded for sure.
And let me ask you this question, Jonathan. Had you not ordered it online to be picked up, what if you were just stopping by and it was closed?
Right.
You wouldn't have thought much either, right?
No, exactly. Well, I mean, I probably would have been like, yeah, exactly. I need to get something there, and I didn't get it. But having to do a pickup at that store definitely made it a little different, right?
I agree.
Because it's like, I have to go to that store to get this item. And then I get an email after going there twice and then being closed saying I need to pick up my order. And I'm like, I've been twice to pick up my order. What, anyway. So it sounds like most of you guys are in agreement with me, which I appreciate. But, I totally get it. Michael says it's Christmas time. Stores need to be open, and you're right to complain. Thank you. Here's the thing. It's almost 5 o'clock.
Right.
Okay, like 5 to 7 is like prime time, I would think.
I would think.
I mean, if you're going to take
5 to 6.
If you're going to take your lunch break, take it like during lunch, or maybe not during lunch because you may get customers then because people are taking off. Take it from like 1 to like 4. Right? Exactly. Like in that 3-hour window, because you're probably going to have customers at lunch, and you're probably going to have customers at 5 o'clock. Right? Because people get off work. So,
well, the fact that you went back and it was the same thing again, the second
exactly.
time. If it was a one-off,
right,
and you would be like, well, I don't know what happened. It must have been an emergency. Maybe they didn't have time to make a note, whatever.
Or update your store hours.
Yeah, update
but
your store
on the
hours.
window, it said 7 o'clock. Like when I walked up to it, it said 7 p.m. I'm like, and 7 p.m. is pretty early to close anyway.
Boo to GameStop. Selling all my stock. I did that a long time ago.
Yeah, let's say, I think you already did
that a long time ago.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are mostly in agreement with me. I think I was justified in calling corporate about it. I normally probably wouldn't do that, but I was kind of mad because I had to drive all that way.
Sure.
You know, so and it was
It's not next door.
Exactly. If it would have been like the one that's real close to me, I probably would have been like, I can go by anytime. But the fact that it's all the way over across town, I have to drive over there to get it. You know, and they were the only one that had it. It's not like I could go to another store.
Now, you did get the product.
Yes.
How did they treat you when you got it? Because they had to know you're the one that called in.
No, they were fine.
They didn't care.
They didn't care. They didn't even ask me my name. They just took the order number, looked at my ID, and that was it.
Okay.
So, but when I called in, I didn't give them my name.
Okay.
I didn't ask my name.
Okay.
So I just told them. So, I mean.
Maybe so.
But
Maybe they didn't know.
Who knows? But anyway, so there you go. I'm glad I got some justification from the people in the live chat. Because I kind of felt like I was being a Karen. But my wife was like, no, I think you did the right thing. Tim said I did the right thing.
Yeah,
and now it seems like everybody else said I did the right thing. So I feel good. Sign! It takes 5 seconds to say blah, 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 blah. Not here right now. I mean, gone fishing. I don't know, you know?
Yeah,
it takes 5 minutes to not even 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute to just write something, slam it up.
Be right back.
Exactly. Be right back.
Something like that.
Short-handed. You know,
Yeah.
not enough staff. Anything like that, I would have been fine. So, did you at least ask them what was up when you got the item? I did not. I didn't want to ruffle their feathers anymore. I'd already called corporate on them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I didn't ask them. And the manager guy, I've been there before, and he's nice. Like, I've talked to him before. And the trainee guy, he's just learning. So they may just be shorthanded. And if they are, though, just tell me you're shorthanded.
Right.
You know, just put a sign up. It's easy.
Be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Jumping General, what's your favorite baseball arcade game? So I'm going to expand this beyond the purview of video games and say Slugfest.
Yes, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Slugfest.
So if you've never played William Slugfest, it is fantastic. I think it's Mark Ritchie designed.
Yeah.
But it is a pitch and bat game, and it is probably the best version of a pitch and bat game that you will ever play.
I agree.
So it is Slugfest. It is fantastic. The person who is pitching has 4 different pitches that they can throw, and then the hitter, of course, has to react to those. There's 4 different buttons for the pitcher. There's one button for the hitter to hit, and it is really fun. So Slugfest, and I'm pretty sure it was still Williams at that point. It's a Williams game. Is definitely my favorite by far if you're talking about baseball games. So now if you're talking about video games, 2020 Super Baseball on the Neo Geo is pretty good. World Series Baseball by Sega is really good. So all of those. There's some good ones. And Michael says RBI Baseball. That one is good as well. So let's see. And I think that's everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Nate Berg says Slugfest. Yes. And you get to win baseball cards with Slugfest. For sure. Let's see. Arcade Survival says they probably fired the staff right before Christmas. The GameStop. The manager was still there, so he's still hanging around.
Right, or they all quit.
But they could have quit because I've heard that working for GameStop sucks.
Maybe.
Like, I've heard that it's pretty brutal. Like, they push you pretty hard to sell and things like that. So, Delusional says Baseball Stars 2 on the Neo Geo. That's a good one, too. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here, Tim, for the regular show here.
Thank you,
so,
guys.
we're going to go ahead and throw our standard stuff out here. We want to remind you that we do want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure to put an unplug for your channel so people know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. Yes, and that's of course especially for channels that are on the verge of getting monetized. If you need some help with that and you have arcade related content on your channel, send us that and we'll play it here on the live show if we like it, and hopefully send some subscribers your way and some views your way that may help you get monetized. So let's do that. Okay, Tim, let's go ahead and talk about the contact information real quick. We have our general email at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com. If you put live show in the subject, you'll definitely get it mentioned on the show. But otherwise, we'll kind of answer it as we get around to it, or we may put it on the live show, depending. So, but again, best way to get in contact with us is questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com. We have our YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, and we do try to cover the comments from the last live show episode on the next episode. So, and if you're watching this live, you obviously know where our YouTube channel is, or if you're watching the video for this, but you may be listening to the audio only feed on our question and answer podcast. feed. And if you are, make sure you go to youtube.arcaderepairtips.com to watch the video for this episode and to watch the after show, Tim. And we're going to be talking about a lot of great stuff in the after show, including Gran Turismo, some sports and other things. So if you want to hear that, make sure you check out the YouTube page for this episode. That way you can catch up on all of our after show content.
Good.
We have our podcast feed at different places here, but of course, we have our iTunes, Spotify, and Audible pages. We have our iTunes page at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com. We have our Spotify page at spotify.arcaderepairtips.com, or our Audible page at audible.arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, you can leave ratings on all three.
Yeah.
So if you really like what we're doing here, we'd encourage you to go to either iTunes, Spotify, or Audible and get, log in and leave us a review. And we'd really appreciate that. Tim, I think the last review we got on iTunes was 2001.
Wow.
Or 2021, excuse me. So it's been 2 years.
It's been a while, but 2001.
It's been 2 years since we've got an iTunes review, so we'd like to see another one show up there if possible. So if you're so inclined, leave us a review at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com, or on Spotify at spotify.arcaderepairtips.com, or on Audible at audible.arcaderepairtips.com. We also have our social media pages. We have our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. We want to thank Mark for all of his contributions there, and of course, for managing all the community stuff. And we have our Twitter/X feed at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. Still can't get used to calling it X, Tim.
Right.
I'm going to call it Twitter till I die, probably. But you guys can check out all the stuff there. We try to post everything on both those, but sometimes our little thing doesn't work to sync the two, so it just depends. But for the most part, same content on both those, so it just depends on whether you're an X/Twitter fan or if you're more of a Facebook fan. So there you go. Well, Tim, that about wraps it up for our live show episode. We're about to move into the after show. And Tim, before we move on, what are we covering in that said after show besides Gran Turismo? Is there something else?
I'll probably talk a little bit more about my trip. We'll talk about some shows and movies and stuff that we watched.
Yeah. Thanksgiving. Talk about that. We're going to talk about, Tim mentioned the Dallas team and some Vegas ties.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. Dallas Cowboys probably. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about some movies. Tim, you watched Gran Turismo. I watched one that you recommended, Sound of Freedom. And so I will talk about that. Tim also watched a documentary on the Star Wars holiday special called A Disturbance in the Force. And so I'll give my thoughts on that, as well as some other things that I've been watching as well. So we're about to sign off for the regular live show here, Tim. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you can wait about 5 or 10 minutes here, and we'll come in with the after show right after, and you guys can watch that. But otherwise, Tim, I think this is it for the regular live show. Do you have anything you want to say before we sign off?
Just want to tell everybody Merry Christmas and any other celebrations that you may be celebrating this time of year. Spend some good time with your family and friends and enjoy it. Don't get down and let things get you down. Let the economy get you down. If nothing else, play a video game and cheer up. They're pretty cool to play and fun to work on.
Absolutely. So if this is your off-ramp, guys, we want to thank you for joining us tonight, for either watching or listening to this, depending on how you're consuming this. But we want to thank you guys for being here for the live chat for sure. Round of applause for you guys, especially coming on the second Thursday of the month instead of the first. So we want to thank you guys for adjusting your schedules accordingly. And we will be back in January, hopefully, with another episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. So if this is your off-ramp, thanks for being here. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. And we'll see you next month. Or wait around 5 or 10 minutes. Join us for the after show. We'd love to have you there as well. But till then, guys, remember here at Arcade Repair Tips, when you fix the game,
you play the game.
Take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
And we're back with the after show for episode 82 for December 2023. Tim, how do you think the show went?
I think so. I think it was a pretty good show. We had, we like to keep a consistency and do it the same Thursday of the month, but sometimes when we do it different, it seems like we had some, for some regulars here, and then seeing Michael for being able to be with us for the first time in a long time, and I recognized a lot of new names too. So I'm glad that you came today, and even if you chose to stick around the live show, if you've never, the after show, if you've never seen this is where it probably gets a little crazy, but it's all right.
After show, any topic goes. So no topic is off limits. We just kind of talk about whatever. Tim, you were talking about this, and a lot of people may not know. I do have a flip phone. So this is a Z Flip 4. This is a Samsung flip phone, and I don't know if I've talked about it before, but I do. And that's me and my wife.
It works pretty good.
Yeah, and I've had to have the screen protector replaced on it once, but that is covered under warranty. You get one free screen replacement. Okay. And they do recommend that you keep the screen replacement in good shape. I think it's only $20 to replace it normally, so it's not like that expensive to do it. But it does have to be installed by somebody who, like an authorized installer.
Oh, okay. So you can't just
Ashurion is who did this one. Who You Break We Fix, I think is the name of it now. But they did it. They're an authorized Samsung repair center, and it took 30 minutes, an hour, something like that.
Not too bad.
And the cool thing about this phone, a lot of Samsungs have it, you can put it in maintenance mode. So when it goes into maintenance mode, it basically acts like it's a new phone. Oh. And so they can't get any information off of it when it's in maintenance mode.
Oh, nice.
Until the pin is put back in and it reboots into normal mode.
Okay.
So Samsungs have that, and it's very handy when you have somebody, when you take your phone in for repair, because that way they don't get any calls. It's like, it basically comes up like it's reset to factory.
Oh, okay. But they can still work on it and
do
stuff.
So they can do, it doesn't have a passcode on it at that point. They can do anything. But if they restart it, they have to have the passcode in order to get back out of maintenance mode.
Interesting.
And it works really good.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, but I've been very happy with the Flip. The battery life is not as good as what you have on, a regular phone, because you got to remember, this is the size of the battery versus, one of those big long tubes or something like they can put in new phones. But I've been happy with it. I've had this thing a year and a half. And it's been very good. I've been very pleased with it. And the Flip keeps me from looking at it as much. I am very weary about my screen time.
Okay.
And so the Flip actually keeps me from looking at it as much.
Interesting.
What's your screen time? I'm curious, Tim.
I have no idea.
You can look.
I don't know.
I will tell you mine, and you guys can compare.
How do you look it up?
Okay, so if you're on a Samsung, if you go to your settings, and then there is a screen time.
I might be embarrassed here.
Yeah, there's a digital well-being is what mine's called. So, and it'll tell you what your screen time is. It'll even give you an average of what your weekly report is. So it's what I like to look at. So if you do wellness or digital screen time or whatever. So
let's say we'll just do
screen time. And you guys can look it up at home too. So my average daily screen time, Tim can see here, is 3 hours and 11 minutes. So that is mine. So let's see what Tim's comes up with here. It may be taking a minute. Screen time goal. Maybe. Well, hit that. That's the same thing. Digital well-being is where it's under. So, actually, you're doing better than me, it looks like. Now, that's today. Let's look at your average. Okay, so your average, there it is. 2 hours and 13 minutes. You're actually better than I am. Look at you. So,
well, because
you're driving a lot.
Well, I don't. Well, I tell you what. If I was off, it would be more than that. I do have a thing where I don't take it in when I go in to see a client, and most of my family knows if it's an emergency, they just almost have to wait because I'm in and out usually about an hour.
Sure.
So I check my phone as soon as I get out, but I don't carry it with me as much.
So my most used app, would you like to guess?
Facebook.
No, Spotify.
3
hours and 1 minute. This week, I've used Spotify. Almost a full day worth of Spotify.
Okay,
I like
and
Spotify.
then you got all your Spotify statistics that
yeah,
they
exactly.
like to give you, right?
I've got my Wrapped. I can talk about that real quick, too. What is your screen time? If you're out there. Now, iPhone has this, too. Share your screen time with us. I'm curious what everybody's screen time is. So Tim had me beat by
2 hours a day? Wow.
Yeah, you're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. I was at 3 hours and 15 minutes, basically. So, I got you beat by a whole hour.
Right.
Now, I'm at my desk all day, and I have my phone sitting right there.
That's what I'm saying,
right.
though. You're at a job where you can do that.
Right, exactly.
I can't use mine when I'm driving, which is a lot of times in the day.
Right. So, my Spotify Wrapped was pretty uneventful this year. A lot of Ross King. We talked about that earlier, but it was good stuff. Just normal stuff. So my album of the year, I think I've usually done that. So this year, I think my album of the year that came out this year is going to go to Blessing Offer. Do you know Blessing Offer?
No, never heard of him.
Blessing Offer is a somewhat Christian artist. Most people know him because he was on The Voice.
Okay.
Blessing Offer is partially blind. Can't see.
Okay, I think I've seen the video.
But his voice is fantastic. He had an album come out this year called My Tribe. Okay. And that album is fantastic. So Blessing Offer, My Tribe would be my my album of the year.
Okay.
And I liked a lot of stuff, but you know, that one really hit. Like all the songs on there are good. You know, I'm trying to think of the big hit off there. Brighter Days is the big hit off of there. But he's got several. But that's probably the one that most people would know. But most people know Blessing Offer from The Voice. So he was on The Voice.
I think I remember that.
And he's got a voice, boy. But like I said, partially blind. Mm-hmm. He's not from America. Right. So he's I forget where he's from. Like I think Nambia or something like that. So very good album. So if you're looking for something to listen to, Blessing Offer, My Tribe, album of the year for me. So okay, Tim. Okay, screen time out of the way. Album of the year out of the way. How'd your Thanksgiving go?
It was good. We again hosted at our house, so it was just a week before we went to Germany, so it was kind of just everybody brought some stuff. We ate, watched football, and it was pretty quick. That
sounds about like mine. We went over to my sister-in-law's house and we ate and watched football too, Tim, and watched the Cowboys take care of business there. Mm-hmm. You know, so that was good. And then of course we took the Seahawks on last week, or no, the week before last, and then the Eagles game last week. Yeah, the Seahawks game. Golly, that was close, Tim. But like we talked about in the regular live show, Cowboys are doing really good. What are they, 10-3, Tim?
10-3.
10-3.
They're 16 in a row at home, I think, now. I would want to give us home field advantage.
I think they said that was the most watched non-playoff game in 10 years. Like the Cowboys, who did they play on Thanksgiving? I forget.
They played the Redskins. They played the Commanders.
Yeah,
sorry.
Commanders, exactly. Washington team.
The Washington Commanders.
Team. Exactly. So, but that was like they said it was one of the most watched games and non-playoff games in 10 years or something like that. So, but we watched football too, Tim, and just ate Thanksgiving dinner. I had 5 Thanksgivings.
Wow.
Okay. I had a Friendsgiving just down the road here with all of our street friends. I had a Thanksgiving at work. Mm-hmm. My wife cooked Thanksgiving for us and her mother-in-law. And then I had Thanksgiving with my sister-in-law on Thanksgiving. And I had Thanksgiving with my family the Friday after.
Oh, my goodness.
So I ate Thanksgiving 5 times.
I bet you were full.
One plate. I limit myself to 1 plate at every location.
Okay.
That's the key. Mm-hmm. So if you do that way you're not overeating.
What's your favorite dish or whatever?
Golly, that's tough.
I love the Greenberg turkey.
Yeah, turkey is always good. Doesn't matter when you have it. It's always good. Greenberg is we've talked about that before. Famous here in Tyler for their smoked, way they smoke the turkeys. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I still say that like one of the best turkeys I ever had was the fried turkey that you brought over that one time we had it when we had it all together. We had Thanksgiving. That was good. Mm-hmm. So
haven't done that one in a while.
I know. Like they say, you should never fry a turkey because it's a lot of work and it's kind of messy to get everything going. But if you can get somebody to fry it for you, then,
it's even better.
It's perfect. But I don't know. I kind of like the conglomeration of everything. I like my dressing / stuffing. I like my cranberry sauce. I like my sweet potato casserole. I like my green bean casserole. I like my potatoes typically. So I mean, as long as those things are there, I'm pretty happy camper.
Broccoli rice casserole.
I'm okay with broccoli rice. Good. It's not my favorite, but I mean, I'll eat that. Mm-hmm. On the sweet potatoes, like I know some people put pecans on top. Some people put marshmallows on top. I've heard both. Don't care either way. It's both. It's good to me both ways.
Yeah, you can't mess it up.
Exactly, can't mess it up. So I don't know what my favorite is though. Probably the dessert. If I was gonna go for something, a nice pecan pie.
What dessert? Pecan pie. Okay. Let's
see. Any kind of pie, man. If I like pecan pie for sure. But,
it's kind of neat because
pumpkin pie if I'm in the right mood for it.
Yeah, I've been involved with my wife's family now for 10 years. And, some of the traditions that they have are different than when I grew up. My mother-in-law always makes a chocolate silk pie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's so good. It's like, I know. I'm like,
right.
I'm going to get some on Thanksgiving. So most of their stuff is pretty same stuff that you mentioned.
Yeah. Chocolate silk pie is awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a pie place here in town, Just Pies. I love Just Pies. It's like my favorite place in the world. So, I mean, if you want dessert... Have you been to Just Pies?
Yes.
Okay, Just Pies is fantastic. What pies have you had from Just Pies?
The banana cream pie.
Oh, that's fantastic. Really have you had the buttermilk? That's like award-winning for them. And then the strawberries and cream pie during the spring.
Okay.
And the millionaire pie.
Yes.
The millionaire pie. If you guys know what millionaire pie is, it's fantastic. So it's coconut, pineapple, and cherry. It's perfect for like spring. So anyway, pie discussion too. That's where we are now.
It's funny. Do y'all ever get crumble cookies?
Oh yes, we love crumble cookies.
See, and I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, I said, I'm not paying $4 for a cookie. That's stupid.
Yeah.
And then I ate one.
They're gigantic. You four people can eat on a cookie.
One cookie, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have a crumble cookie near you, I was in Europe, I was in Germany last week, and we went to a place. It wasn't called crumble. It was called Cookie Couture or something like that. And it looked like crumble cookie, same concept. And I went €4. I was like, yep, same price.
That's right.
And my friend goes, I ain't paying €4 for a cookie. I'm like, you haven't tried it yet.
That's right.
Don't do it. Don't ever start, because they do it and they have different flavors every week. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the Boston cream cookie to come back out.
Yep.
When it comes back out and
They're on it.
Yeah. They jacked it up to $6, I'd probably buy it. But
exactly.
Anyway,
Crumble Cookies, if you don't know, they're a standalone cookie shop that you can order every week. Like Tim said, they have different flavors. So whenever you go, they have different flavors. Sometimes
gotta get it while it's hot.
Yeah, I usually get like a half a dozen and just get one of each.
That's what
and
we
try
do.
them all. You know,
That's what we do.
whatever,
Just
and then
cut
figure out
them
what
in squares
and figure out my favorite ones and all that.
We're
kind of
trading. They're like, I'll give you 2 of these for one of those, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you cut them into 4s or 8s, and everybody can just have little pieces of them, that's the best way to do it for sure. Let's see. So Christmas plans. Since Thanksgiving's passed now, you got any big Christmas plans?
Well, part of our big reason why we went to Germany specifically this time of year was that was our Christmas present to each other. And we've been saving money for a while, and we wanted to go, but COVID has kind of kept us out.
Of course.
The last time we went was in 2019, and so we went in the summer. And this time we purposely chose this time of year because, as some of you that are watching that don't celebrate Thanksgiving, they jump into Christmas a little earlier than we do, and they always have these what they call Christmas markets. I think we went to 12 of them, and they're all over town, and you might find it's where all your local vendors will get together, and they also have like eggnog and glühwein and stuff, which is a spice kind of wine. They have a lot of different things like that, but you also have like all these kinds of sausages and different kinds of treats. It's kind of like a fair,
right?
Like we go to the fair and we have corn dog on a stick.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what they have certain things that you only eat during Christmas time, certain kinds of cookies and stuff. So we really wanted to go. That was part of our Christmas when we got there. It started snowing. It was just beautiful. In fact, I didn't post the picture. I'll show you one, and maybe it'll come up on the screen. But it was just a good time. So, having said that, that was kind of like our Christmas. But now we're back home. I'm going to work for 10 days, and then I'm actually, after next Wednesday, I'll be off to the end of the year.
Nice.
And our son is coming in this Saturday. So now we're finally starting to shift gears again and get ready for Christmas. But really have not thought a ton about it because that was our Christmas.
Right.
But now we got to do it for our kids and stuff. What about you guys?
We'll go visit every family. So I think my mother-in-law's coming here on Christmas Day, and then we'll go to my parents usually on Christmas Day after that, and just hang out. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I don't really have anything right now either. I don't know. It's like I don't know what we're gonna do. New Year's Eve usually we just stay home and I watch Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest, and I look at all the new music acts that I missed out on. So that's typically what we do. But I mean, one of these New Year's Eves I need to plan. I'm not good at planning. When it's like all the stuff with Christmas. Is
I want to show you this picture. Kids. That is not a postcard.
Oh, it's very nice.
That is a real picture.
That's cool.
So maybe I don't think these guys can see it from there.
Yeah, they may be able to.
But anyway.
Yeah, you can see a little bit.
I'm going the wrong way.
Up.
Anyway, this is a carolers were playing, snow was falling. It was just that magical, kind of beautiful. But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
There you go. No.
But we did have the snow. I will show you some. I want to just a little bit of trivia if you've never been to Cologne. So when we're leaving the Christmas market, though, and remind you, it's about 28 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Mm-hmm. It's cold and wind chill. And I see there are just hundreds, literally hundreds, somewhere between 300 and 500, I would say, birds everywhere up in these trees, okay? And they're not little birds. I'm like, what the heck are these birds?
Right.
And it's getting dark, so you know me, always keep flashlight on me, right? I shined up my flashlight and see a bird. What kind of bird do you think I saw in the middle of winter in Cologne, Germany?
Raven.
Parrots.
Parrot?
A green, colorful, tropical parrot.
That makes no sense.
That makes 0 sense, except for they said that literally the rumor is that even during the war, when it was wartime there, that because of the bombings and stuff, somebody's parrots got out of their house and made it, and these are all the descendants of these parrots. They're always in this one area of downtown, and they don't leave. They don't fly south for the winter. They stay there.
How do they get food?
People, I guess there's lots of food, or people are, dropping food, kind of like pigeons.
Right.
Or people feed them, and they're well known throughout that. I would have never thought that there was parrots there.
Nope.
So that was strange, so, and I got to see an Olympic sport for the first, a sport, not in the Olympics, but I got to see an Olympic sport that I've never seen here in the United States. Want to guess?
What? Curling.
Yeah, I got to see curling. You know how cool it is to watch in person?
I've never seen curling in person.
Me
I watched
either.
on TV, right?
Right, exactly. And you could have, if you would have been there, you would have been, everybody else was like, it's curling, Me and you would have been there, we'd have been like, we got to play, right? I mean, it wouldn't have taken, it wouldn't even taken a beer to get me to play.
Right, exactly.
Everybody else was drunk playing. And, but that's cool to actually see curling outside. So
when it's freezing, you can just go out and play, right?
Yeah, they
Here,
can go there.
It's never freezing.
Right. So that was cool to actually see curling tournament going on, and I took some pictures of that. So
see, like here, if you go down to the park, you can play pickleball. Like you got pickleball courts, and you can pick up pickleball like anytime, right? Or tennis or whatever. I mean, basketball now. There's a basketball court down here.
So anyway, you asked about
a pickup curling game. Never seen.
So you asked about Christmas. I mean, it was just great. We got to see curling. We got to drink Glühwein. We got to talk. Every time there's some things in translation and stuff, it's always funny. But you got to watch these Germans, guys. They're pretty sneaky, And I don't want to ever drink Killipish anymore.
Oh, okay.
Killipish is not good. Not good.
Stay away from that.
Yeah, stay away from it. If you do, 1 or 2.
Okay.
Not 7. So anyway, they don't tell you. You're used to drinking a beer or wine that Killipish has 42% alcohol.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, lots of fun stuff there. But now we're at home, and we put up the Christmas tree before we left. So when we come in, we'd still be kind of in the holiday mood. And last night we kind of plugged the tree up and just looked at the lights. Kids are coming home for Christmas. As you get older, John, one day your kids will be gone from the house. Just like your parents, the only thing they want for Christmas is you to come over and to spend time with them. So just encourage everybody out there.
The only thing my parents want is for my kids to go over there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, you're here too.
That's right. They want the grandkids, right. And maybe one day I'll be that lucky.
There you go. Arcade Survival says, gotta head out, gentlemen. Thank you for all you do. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Same to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So, so for Christmas, it'll be normal. Now, let me tell you, I can tell you all the stuff we've done up to this point. We did a Christmas parade. We did a musical, a children's musical. So we did a Christmas parade, children's musical. We built a float for the Christmas parade. Yes, I was in charge of that. Let's see, and then we did a Christmas market at church. We did, golly, what else did we do? There's one other thing I'm forgetting. But we've been. It's not even
mid. It's technically mid-December tomorrow. And
exactly. I feel like we've done so much Christmas already. But no, the Christmas musical was good. Had the kids in it, and the Christmas parade was good. We hand out candy at the Bullard Christmas parade.
Have y'all went and looked at lights or anything yet?
Not really. I mean, I saw the ones that won like the awards here in town. And there's the Star Wars house. Have you been by the Star Wars house?
No.
Yeah, they have all Star Wars inflatables, Christmas inflatables outside.
You
should see that one. It won an award this year. year, but it's really good. There's also a gigantic Santa that made like the national news out in Holly Tree. Did you see that one?
I have not seen that.
It is on an empty lot. It's a gigantic Santa on an empty lot.
Okay.
And it's huge. Yeah.
It's huge.
So,
okay.
And it's out in Holly Tree. But yeah, so I mean, we have not looked around for lights, but we'll be getting there soon.
But I like Christmas traditions, and it's fun as you build some with your kids too. You'll have some. But
we got the elf on the shelf. Actually, we have multiple elves on the shelves. So yeah, so we have a lot of those. You know,
yes.
Okay. So yeah, we have multiples of those around. Let's see. I mean,
that's a lot of work.
Yes. Let's see. We also have. I mean, we got the tree up. We wrapped some gifts. I mean, I've got most of my Christmas shopping done. Maybe done. I think I'm done.
So we were in Germany on December the 6th, and if you're not from the United States, you know December the 6th is a very big day, St. Nicholas Day.
Oh, there you go.
So it's where you put your boots out, and it's kind of like our tradition of stockings. You put your boots out, and the next day, St. Nicholas will put candy or some other little prizes in there. And when every day we stayed in a really small hotel room, which is common, right?
Hotel rooms like in European countries are tiny.
This room would have been 3 of them.
Yeah.
And so we're in a small room, but and every day they would come in and kind of make the bed and maybe leave a little note or a piece of candy. And that day, our shoes just happened to be out, and we had candy in our shoes. So Nicholas came. It was kind of cool.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad you had a good trip.
I'm
glad you came home safely. So
long trip.
Exactly. So we already talked Dallas Cowboys. They're doing good. We'll see if they can pull out. We'll see what happens going forward. Dallas Mavericks they made big news, of course, because Mark Cuban sold off the controlling stake of the Dallas Mavericks to Las Vegas Sands Corp.
Right.
Which is owned by multi-billionaire lady. I can't even think of her name at the moment. And they bought some land next to where Texas Stadium used to be, the old Cowboy Stadium.
The old Cowboy Stadium, yeah.
And I mean, there's plans to build like a big complex there. They're really trying to push for legalized gambling here in Texas.
Yes.
So I don't know if that's going to work, but at least they can say they have a stake in the state because they own a portion of the Mavericks. Now, Mark Cuban still gets to be the controlling partner.
Yeah.
So he's the one that still runs the team.
What all that means, but
right.
Yeah.
He still gets to run the team. So he's still running the team, even though he doesn't own the team anymore, technically.
Right.
But he does. I think he still has a stake in it, and he still gets to run it. So good for him.
Like that.
Yeah. Dallas Stars are doing well. If you're keeping up with hockey, we're doing pretty decently. Tim, did I say the Texas Rangers were world champions?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
I
you might
don't
have
need to repeat
mentioned
that.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just need to say that again. I feel like I need to mention like every 5 minutes. So, yeah, I'm still pinching myself over that. So it is what it is. But yeah, so I mean, sports are going good. We'll see about football going forward. Who's playing tonight? Raiders and somebody, right? I can't remember. So Raiders and somebody.
Yeah, I don't think it was a very
It doesn't matter if it's us or the Eagles that come out of our division, man. We gotta play San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco is good.
Yeah.
But even they can have an off day. They've lost 3, right? They've lost 3. So I mean, but when they play their best, I don't think there's anybody that can beat them.
Yeah.
Like when they're playing up, and man, Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes can't catch a break. Goodness, man, on that offsides call, Tim.
Yeah.
Golly.
That was petty, I thought. But
well, I mean, they've been enforcing that a lot this year. Have you noticed that? I mean,
heard.
they called in the Cowboy game.
They did.
Did you see that?
They did.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like it's been. It's not like it hasn't been called, but I feel bad for him because, man, I mean, that's just...
Yeah, it's at that moment.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, wow, but you know what? You can't call is the game. If your win or loss goes down to the last play or whatever, you didn't play very good.
Exactly.
So,
man, and I mean, all of his guys have been dropping his passes all season. I mean, it's just
season.
Golly. So, anyway, so I mean, NFL stuff. You guys want to talk about that? We're always open to that. Tim, let's go TV movie talk. Let's go Gran Turismo first.
All right.
Okay, so did I watch this last time we had a show?
I think so, or the one before.
And I said I watched 4 movies, and the only one that was worth watching, I think, was Gran Turismo, and that was very good.
And you said it could have been your top 5 movies of all time.
Absolutely, I think it could, yeah.
And I have to agree.
Oh, look at that!
That movie was fantastic.
Speaking of Violent Night, the crew chief is the same, David something, right?
The sheriff on...
on...
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, correct.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name.
Everybody likes him.
Yeah, exactly. He's a good actor. He's been in a lot of stuff. So he's the crew chief in this. But, man, this movie is good. It is good. So what did you like about it?
Well, for one, I knew the story a little bit, but I really didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
I really didn't know how. I mean, I kind of remember a little bit about the contest, and I don't really know much. I didn't know about the Le Mans.
Yeah, the Le Mans, 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Yeah, and that was really probably the most impressive.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thing in the movie, and it kind of leads up to that. Mm-hmm. So that was really good.
So I heard an interview with the guy, with the actual guy. I can't think of his name at the moment. What's his name? But I heard an interview with him, and he was saying that the movie is pretty accurate, especially with his dad. Mm-hmm. He said his dad was really like that.
Okay.
His mom was supportive all the time.
Yeah, his
dad
just was really, it was a waste of time. Yeah,
and until he did his first race, his dad was pretty much like just not there. And the movie kind of depicts that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it shows that his dad is like, you're wasting your time and all this kind of stuff. So, anyway. Continue.
But I think you'll agree is that so we're on the plane, and I'm sitting here, and Dawn is sitting over there. And she's really focusing on her movies. And I'm like, what are you watching? And she's like, and I'm like, I honestly thought that, like you said, I told her, I want to watch it again. Mm-hmm. And I think you'll like it. You'll want to watch it with me. So there's a lot of story to it. It's, I mean, there were times when you just want to laugh, times you want to cry. It was real, it's a good movie, whether you're a big, it has a lot to do with video games, has a lot to do with racing, but if you're not a fan of either one, you'll like that movie.
Exactly.
That's what I like about it.
It's very much a sports, like, like a sports cry style movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Rudy,
remember the Titans or Rudy? Yeah, it's very much like that. But for people who really like video games too. I mean, and that's what it comes down to. It's very well done. All the like the overhead shots that they took with the drones of like all the courses and everything, and the zoom ins and everything, man, that is so well done. I mean, you can tell that they shot that stuff so well. And then like the graphic effects, like where they transition to him, like he's in the car, but it makes it look like he's driving. Yeah. At his house on the PlayStation and stuff like that. Masterfully done.
Or they have the one up follow the one player one what position they're in.
Or they have the line for the course, like he sees the line like he sees it in the game, and all of this stuff is so well done.
If you're a fan of the game, you'll love the.
You gotta see it. Yeah. If you're a video game fan at all, I think Gran Turismo's right up your alley. If you're a sports fan at all, it's definitely up your alley. Yeah. And if you're a crossover of those two, like me and Tim are, you're definitely in.
I mean, outside of Star Wars. It's up there. Yeah, it's one of the best sports movies and video game movies.
And it's a roller coaster. It's up and down, because he kind of makes it in. He's kind of at the top, and then he realizes how hard it is. And man, he just barely makes the cut. Mm-hmm. I don't want to spoil much, but he barely makes the cut. And like the night before, he's sweating it basically, and like all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's so good. I want to watch it again. Just talking about it now. It's great. Yeah. Okay, so let me transition then over and say that Tim recommended Sound of Freedom.
Okay,
he went to the movie theater, right? You went to the movie theater to see this.
At the theater.
I saw it recently, and it's good. So I've heard conflicting reports about how accurate it is.
Okay.
But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to take it as a movie.
Okay.
And as a movie, it takes you on a ride, boy. Mm-hmm. Tim talked about this when he saw it. He's like, this guy, Jim Caviezel plays a guy who tracks down,
sex trafficking.
Yeah. No, well, pedophiles.
Yeah, pedophiles.
Okay, so, I mean, people who are, especially images, who are kind of getting into that. And one of his, or who was it that comes up to him and says, like, okay, you've caught all these pedophiles, but how many times have you found a kid?
Right.
Okay, like he tells him that. And then all of a sudden he realizes that needs to be his goal, right? It's like, I need to start rescuing the kids, right? And so he starts going down that path, and that's what leads to kind of like the whole rest of it, of the movie, And golly, it is heartbreaking. I've heard that this particular story, it says based on a true story, it's a little embellished. But with that said, the problem is still a problem.
Right.
And that's something you have to keep in mind. The whole point of this
it's to raise
awareness for human trafficking, which is a deal, which is a thing, and that's the whole point of the movie. So, regardless of how accurate the actual movie is, if you're grading it on how entertaining it is and how it brings awareness to the subject, it's definitely well done. Okay, so if you're grading on accuracy, it may not be 100% accurate, but if you're grading it on how, like the movie itself, it's very entertaining, and it does make you think a lot about human trafficking. One thing that still stuck with me is like, human trafficking is kind of the crime that a lot of drug lords and stuff are going to transition to, because unlike drugs where you sell a bag and then it's done, like you can sell a child over and over again. And so I mean, it makes you start thinking about it, and it's like, this is why this goes on, is because they can make so much money off of it, and it's terrible and it's awful, and this really brings awareness to that. And so it's well done. It's worth your time watching. If I would never watch this with my wife, because she's very sensitive to this kind of stuff, and I think she'd bawl through the whole movie, because it really is. It's tough. It is tough.
It's tough to watch, but it's kind of like you gotta watch it.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes you aware that there's a problem, and there is a problem. People talk about the border being open and things. Part of the reason why it'd be good to have a closed border is so people cannot transfer people easily over that. And that's really what the problem was. That's what they show in the movie, is that, it's very easy for them to bring people over from the border, bring them here, and then sell them for whatever. And it's just, it's so wrong. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. And like I said, the fact that it raises awareness about it, if you're not already aware that it's a problem, you need to watch this, because it's a problem.
Now, a similar movie, I didn't mention this to you, but I'll transition into it. I saw on the plane also. Have you seen The Covenant?
No, but I've heard of it.
With Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yes.
Okay. Man, that is a good movie, and I want to watch that with my wife again. The Covenant. And basically, it's a true story, and I won't be giving anything away. It tells you from the get-go kind of what it's about. Is that in the Afghanistan war, we had translators that helped us.
Yes.
And when the war was over, we promised them that we would get them out.
We did.
And that they would have asylum for helping us translate. And the sad part is, a lot of them didn't really get it.
That's correct.
Okay, so and this guy has one that actually saves his life. I won't go into the long story. It won't spoil it, but in the end, he gets there and says, "Hey, he wakes up one day almost out of this coma, and he's like, what happened to this guy?" And they're like, "Well, he saved your life. He got you out of the country." "Well, where's he at?" And he's like, "Well, he's stuck there." And he's like, and this is a guy that American citizen, Army Ranger guy. And he says, "Well, we got to get him out." And the government says, basically, there's nothing we can do. And so he says, okay. He goes back over there himself and gets that guy.
Yeah, kind of the same. Oh, very similar.
Yeah, it's very similar. That's why I said you'll get it. He literally says, "I made him a promise. I made a covenant.
Right.
And I made a covenant. I'm going to keep it."
That's good.
And it is bad. I mean, it's like, the stuff that he does and that he goes through, and all the Taliban are after him. They know that they're escaped. They know, and both of the friendships and stuff, and just shows too how really not so different we are.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, outside the evil people in the world that want to kill everybody,
right?
There's a lot of good people that are Palestinian. There's good people that are Afghanistan. There are good people that are Iranians. Good people are Russians, or good people are Germans, Americans. They're good people are just good people.
Right.
And bad people are just bad people.
It's true.
And so, when you realize that there's really a lot of people that really are good people. Mm-hmm. And so, it's a good, you need to watch Covenant.
Okay.
It's good.
I've heard of this.
And actually not a lot, and I would say watch it with your wife. It's not like a lot of blood, and it's not a typical war movie.
Right.
But it's a hero movie. Mm-hmm. And if you like those hero stories where the good guy wins, you're going to want to watch it.
Okay. There you go. Let's get to these last ones quick here. I've been watching the Mortal Kombat Legends series, which are the cartoons they made around Mortal Kombat. Mm-hmm. And Tim, I watched Cage Match, which is the latest one that they just released. And it's funny, and it's fun, and it's good. I really do like those Mortal Kombat Legends cartoons. They're done by the same animation studio who does the Warner Brothers animation superhero stuff.
Okay.
And so they're really well done. If you like Mortal Kombat, like if you like the story of Mortal Kombat, obviously we're all arcade fans. So if you like that story, you should be watching those. They're pretty well done. And the guy who does Johnny Cage's voice, the guy from The Soup, what's his name?
I know who you're talking about.
I know. I can't think of his name at the moment.
The Soup guy.
Yes, the guy who used to do The Soup. But he does Johnny Cage's voice, and he's perfect for it. Man, it's good. So I highly recommend all the Mortal Kombat Legends stuff. I've been watching Trolls Band Together, which they just released on demand with the kids. I mean, and to be honest with you, it's good. They reunited NSYNC. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, they reunited NSYNC for this movie. They do a song on it.
Oh, yeah. I saw a little clip of that. Okay.
So the kids have been watching it. We've been listening to the music. They love it. Okay, let's talk about the creator for a second. Do you know the creator? No. Okay, the creator is a movie, and I don't know if I can explain this very well. Okay. It's kind of high concept. This guy goes undercover, has a relationship with a woman who was raised by AI machines. Okay. Okay. And he goes undercover with her because she creates a machine that basically is she creates an AI machine. So the whole world
She's a human.
Yes. Okay. But she was raised by AI. And at some point, they blame a big explosion in Los Angeles on AI. And so America bans all AI and starts going after other countries who are developing AI. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. This guy is an American. He goes over to this country to befriend this human that was raised by AI because she's developing new AI. Okay. Okay. He ends up falling in love with her. Okay. Okay. And they end up like she ends up getting pregnant. Okay. And then his guys storm their base. Okay. And they think that there's this super intelligent AI at this base that she's created, which is why he's going undercover. So they don't find it, and he gets pulled out, and he thinks she dies. But years later, they say, we've located her. So he's retired now, and they tell him, we've located your wife, kind of, because they had gotten married, and he was in love with her. And we think we've located this super intelligent AI called the Creator. Okay. Or that was done by the creator. Okay. Okay. And so they pull him back in. He goes and he finds this child that's an AI child that can grow just like a normal human child. Okay. And he ends up protecting it. Okay. Even though he's kind of on the anti-AI team. Okay. He sees this thing and he's like, this is amazing. It's too close. Yeah. Right. This is like amazing. Like this thing is, and then he finds out that it was his wife was still alive that created it. Okay. Okay. I don't want to spoil anything past this point. Okay. But it's basically him protecting this AI child. Okay. Trying to get it back to its creator. So
very sci-fi.
Very sci-fi.
Yeah. Really. Really.
Joel McHale. Thank you, Alan. Joel McHale. That's who does Johnny Cage's voice. Anyway, so very sci-fi, and it wants to pull at your heartstrings really hard. Because you want to believe this AI robot child is a human, or it's as human as human can be. Human-like, right? Right, exactly. And so it really pulls at your heartstrings when things happen. And the thing is the U.S. government is after them because they want this thing, right? Like they want to basically destroy it. They're after all AI because of this big explosion that happened in Beverly Hills that they blame AI on. So, or somewhere in Los Angeles. So, so that's the whole story. It is super sci-fi. It really wants to make you cry. I did not get there. Like, emotionally, it didn't have the impact for me. It was close. Okay. But it did not hit me hard enough to make me cry. It was trying.
You know it was a movie.
I mean, it wasn't, the story was just not enough for me to get there. I was close, but it wasn't enough for me to get to where they wanted me to get.
Scale of 1 to 10 overall for the movie.
Probably a 6 or a 7. It's worth your time if you're a sci-fi fan. So if you like things like, trying to think, Day After Tomorrow. iRobot. What's the one? What's the one with? I can't think of the name of it. But like, if you like the sci-fi stuff, it's very sci-fi. I mean, not Star Wars like. I mean, like if you add more. I mean, iRobot may be apt, but iRobot's not quite as. This is more gritty than that. Okay. So maybe more like Avatar or something, but not as pretty. Okay. Like I said, more gritty. So almost like Star Wars, but I don't know. If you're a sci-fi fan, I think you'd like it. You may not love it, but you'll like it. It was worth watching. A 6 or a 7, it's worth your time. But I mean,
the creator.
Watch other things first. Watch that, like leave that till the end of your thing. Watch Gran Turismo for sure. For sure, right? Okay, yeah. So, anyway, but it was good. 6 or 7 on that. Probably 6.5. Like almost a 7. Like almost, I was almost there. Like almost bought into most of it, but I just couldn't get all the way. So, and then last thing I really want to talk about: a disturbance in the Force. How the Star Wars Holiday Special got made. So have you seen the Star Wars Holiday Special that they showed in the 70s?
Yes.
Yes, the original one.
Yes.
This is the documentary about the making of
made.
that.
Okay.
So, and it just was released, and it's only $5 to rent, I think, like the documentary. So it's worth your $5. If you've seen the Holiday Special, then you'll know, like, the first 10 minutes of it has no actual dialogue in it. It's just Wookiees talking, and they don't have any translation on it. So it talks about all the weirdness of that. And it has people who were involved with making the special and just comedians and stuff riffing on the special who saw it, you know, and so it's really good. Like it's 2 hours of them basically talking about Star Wars Holiday Special and how it got made, and people who are involved talk about it, and people who watched it for the first time talk about, like, famous people talk about their reactions to it, right?
Nice.
Very good, very good. It's fun. If you want something just entertaining and fun, it's fun.
I like fun.
So, and if you like Star Wars, of course you like Star Wars. But it kind of talks about how Star Wars wasn't really fully formed when it came out.
What platform is it on? Prime?
Everyone, it's
it's
$5 for rent or something like that. Just rent the thing.
Look it on Prime.
Yeah, it's on Prime. So, and then Lego Masters just wrapped up. I haven't seen the finale yet, but we love Lego Masters, so I'm done.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, well, thanks for being here tonight, and we hope you have a great Christmas and good New Year and all that kind of stuff. I know this is a tough time of year for some. I mentioned that we've had some people pass away this year that we, not necessarily super close, but acquaintances with, people we knew, we talked with, right? Exactly. And so that's always, it always is really hurtful when that happens, because you just, you think about families, you think about people. And so, anyway, but just, our heart goes out to you if you're going through a difficult time this time of year. Maybe you lost someone, in years past, they're still on your heart, still on your mind. We talked about Louie. And I think about Louie quite often because he really helped us out with a lot of stuff, including moderating the live chat.
Yes.
So
never the same.
Right, it hasn't been the same since. So I mean, sometimes Tim, I think we talked about this before. You can't replace that person. You can't replace that person necessarily, but you can think about them fondly. Remember the memory of them and honor that memory as best you can. And so it still hurts. They'll never go away, but if you're going through a particularly rough time, well, you're in our thoughts and prayers. How about that?
Yep.
So happy Kwanzaa, New Year, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever else you celebrate, and we'll see you next month. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
This one.